Welcome to the memes, the show where the lowest of the low, that is the most wretched of wretched and deplorable to end all deplorables, two white heterosexual Christian males from the American South talk about culture, philosophy, history, health, fitness, and what it means to be a man in the 21st century. I'll be your host, Bill. This is my producer and co-host, Hank. And today we have our friends right out of the heart of darkness from Sacramento, California, Jeremy and Delaney of the Weekly Narrative. So, folks, crack open a beer and lend us your ear because the ends always justify the memes.
Cheers.
Cheers, fellas. Thank you for having us. It's a little
early for you guys, isn't it?
Never too early. Yeah, 4 p.m. straight rum at 4 p.m. That's totally fine around here.
I'm normally a really good girl and don't drink that much, so this is a treat for me.
She waits until the stream to get blasted. That's what she's saying.
I do.
Oh, hell yeah.
You were failing all the degenerate lesbians out there by making such statements.
Yeah.
That's why I call myself the young degenerate lesbian, because it's like a play on words. Because people who actually know me, they're like, you're like one of the nicest persons I've ever met. So why are you calling yourself a degenerate?
Disgusting.
Well, by being a nice person, you are quite degenerate in today's standards of society.
Right, yeah.
Everything's inverted, right? We live in an upside down mirror world. So
we live amongst the mind virus, right? The mind cancer.
Yeah, the mind AIDS.
Yes. So, guys, anyone who just started watching or joining us later, just a quick announcement on my end. That is my other channel, All Minus One. I was I got a strike for talking about the coof. So I appealed, but I'm waiting. So right now I can't upload for a week, which no big deal. This is why I have two channels with different names and many backups. And I also actually have other channels on YouTube that if for some reason that channel gets deleted, there'll be a channel of similar name back up. I can promise. So,
well, good. Yeah. Best way to get around them is to just go through them.
Yeah, more or less. And of course, again, I'm on Rumble and all these other things. You can find links in the description as well as Jeremy and Delaney's of the Weekly Narrative. So with that little housekeeping announcement, Tank, let's get some Memecast news going, bud. I figured we would start today off with some quotes from the founding fathers. If a meme is dank, a man is not only right to steal it, he is obligated to do so.
Hell yeah.
Jefferson, wise words.
I do that all the time. I steal people's memes and then reshare them.
Tis their purpose. And in news today, or recent news, Susan Wojcicki receives a free expression award from Pro First Amendment Group. I'm very happy that she received an award after I was struck today on my other channel, All Minus One, and cannot upload for a week, at least until I see that appeal back. And I feel like I'm going to lose that appeal because they do what they wish.
Well, you know what, Bill? Here, did you get this survey from YouTube about what your racial and gender identity is? Did you get that?
I did not take it because the last time I took the survey.
That's why. Because if you did like what I did, where I identified as a lesbian, disabled, transgender, black person, you probably would have gotten 200% increase in your subscribers right away.
I might have. You're right.
You got to play the game, man. You got to play the game.
They would have put you at the front of the algorithm so that you'll be first recommendations.
Yep.
It's like support this disabled black transgender lesbian.
That's right.
That is also pansexual.
Yep.
Whatever that means.
I definitely do believe in being shrewd and using your enemy's tactics to some degree. Of course, we have to stick to our own principles as well. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do because last time I took a survey, they gave me a strike, but then I got an appeal. And then a week later, they gave me a strike for talking about the coof again. And then I literally appealed it, and within a second, I got an email back saying, "Oh, we manually reviewed." And no, I was like, Yeah, you didn't manually review Jack.
Yeah.
So
No,
anyway,
there's no. I think there's like really two employees at YouTube. It's Susan and then some AI robot that just does everything automatically. There's no actual humans over there. I've been on YouTube for years. I've never even had contact with one real human being. So,
well, I sat down around 1:00 today and brought up my YouTube, and I told everyone in my chat yesterday, I was like, "This is likely to get yeeted, guys." And I brought up my YouTube, and I was like, "Yep, sure enough, got a strike." I was like, "Awesome." So I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'll take the next week off to do all the housework I need to get done before the baby comes." So one way or another, I'm going to, do something productive. In any case, guys, I don't know if you heard about this this thing. I was Googling this Derek Chauvin thing. Seemed to be pretty important. Nancy Pelosi had some nice choice words about it, actually.
Oh yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice.
What?
For being there to call out for your mom. How heartbreaking was that? Call out for your mom. I can't breathe. But because of you, and because of thousands, millions of people around the world who came out for justice, your name will always be synonymous with justice.
Thanks for dying.
Yeah, thanks for your death.
well, they've really come out. I mean, we've seen you probably have some memes about the stabbing too. That's going to be talked about in the news a lot. But they're mask off, man. They're just coming out and saying they're happy that Black people are dying to further their cause.
Yeah, that's what Tank's all been on Twitter about, is the stabbing thing. I do have just a little bit on that, but dude, it's par for the course. It's whatever is going on daily. They talk about mass shootings. They talk about Black lives. I don't know what the numbers are, but I can guarantee you 20 some odd people are killed every weekend in our inner cities. No doubt, across America.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And the majority of them are Black folk, and nobody says a thing about it. No one bats an eye.
Especially when they're killed by their own race. It's like, oh, this is normal.
Right. First woman speaker, passing Obamacare, impeaching Trump twice, thanking George Floyd for being murdered.
For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of Floyd.
Right. Yeah, businesses throughout the U.S. putting up "We support BLM" signs. Like,
it's
Won't
true.
work.
For any of you who aren't religious out there, this goes back to Exodus in the Bible, the old Torah, and the passing over, which is what Christ represents as well, the Passover lamb. In any case, keep on moving. The hero nobody wanted. Minorities need me to speak for them. The hero nobody asked for.
I'm guessing
Pretty
that's
much
a
what we have
liberal.
going on.
Guessing that's a liberal white woman.
Oh yeah, the true saviors of humanity.
Yeah.
And these are the same people that are doing or did do these things. Of course, guys, I will be going in somewhat of a chronological order. I obviously know what the verdict was. We will get there. A home that used to belong to Barry Broad, defense witness in a Chauvin trial, was vandalized with a pig's head and pig's blood today. The police chief in Santa Rosa, California, where Broad was used to be a cop, disavowed him last week, saying his testimony went against their values. There's simply no possibility for the American system to produce justice anymore. And yeah, it's been pretty bad for a long time. Someone said, one of my regular viewers said to me the other day about, they feel like America is dying. And I often bring up the point that America's been dead, at least what we think of constitutional America, died under FDR, folks. And what we've been seeing really is the echoes of America. And what is happening right now is that those echoes are finally fading out. They're the last weakest echoes going away.
Yeah. I would agree with that, definitely.
That Barry guy was a shitty witness anyway, to be honest. He
was
deserved
garbage.
blood. He was so terrible. So I probably would have thrown a pig's head on his doorstep anyway.
Well, more importantly, there was a
I
lot
would have found
of
his actual address,
intimidation. What was that, Jeremy?
Yeah. I would have found his actual address. See, the retard Antifa people, they Googled like his name and they found some old record from a yellow book that's 4 years old. And then they went to that old house. A real vandalizer would have found the correct address.
Right.
Just saying.
Well, Now you
Well,
know.
yeah, most of them aren't quite as smart as you, Jeremy. So and resourceful.
But yeah, I mean, it just goes to show the intimidation and the level
Mm-hmm.
of political ire and influence going on, that we have this mob mentality. And guys, I couldn't make a video today, so I haven't got to air my views on this. But essentially, the mob won. I think everyone's seen that. The state threw Chauvin under the bus when it was their
Yeah, they did.
rules that caused this. Floyd himself would have probably died of an overdose eventually there. And I don't think Chauvin was responsible for his death. But I don't also understand how he can be convicted on all those charges, but we'll get to that. We will get to that. I'm calling on all Shaniquas to get ready. It's about to go down if Brother Floyd don't get justice. We burden this mother sucker tonight. Yeah.
How much you want to bet? I was like, how much you want to bet the person that owns that Twitter account is a liberal white woman?
Probably.
Yes.
And many people probably got this look, how my boss looked at me when I requested the 20th off.
Tommy.
There are various reasons, actually. Various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Given that it was 420, I am drinking 420 IPA today. IPAs make you gay, folks, by the way, because they're highly estrogenic, but I haven't had one in forever.
It's true.
So I opted for that because they didn't have any PBR when I went to the gas station.
Dang.
I know.
All
son of
out.
bitches.
Just drink
Excess
scotch,
in
bro.
moderation.
So, our George, who art thou in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy riots come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day your daily fentanyl, and forgive us our white privilege, as we forgive blacks who trespass against us, and lead us not into truth, but deliver us from reality. Amen.
Amen.
I figured
Amen.
he was going to put this one in here today. I saw it today, and I said that's going to be on the stream tonight. I'm sure.
Actually, I'm going to fire the stream now.
I know he murdered people, but I'm his mama. He was good to me. Don't that mean something? He was evil from start to finish, but he in heaven now. I know he was out here in the streets getting money, but you want to buy one of these pecan pies so we can bury him? I think hell is real, but when my family died, they don't go there. He had 4 people, didn't take care of none of them, but he was a father. God and gave this gangster his wings. My son dead because he used to kill people, and now somebody done killed him, but he shouldn't have died like this. My daddy used to beat my ass like he didn't even fucking know me, but he was a good man. Yeah, Lewis didn't do nothing but steal, kill, and rob. He watching over us from heaven now. I'm finna get up here and talk about a version of this person that only 1% of the fucking world saw.
He's even got like the eyes right too, on how they are. He's got those eyeball expressions good.
Right. This isn't just like the black community or ghetto culture or anything like this. Is anybody and everybody. I actually really despise this. You can meet some of the trashiest people and or have them in your family or whatever else, and you have to go to a funeral and you hear about someone who you know is a horrible individual. And everyone go, oh, he's in heaven now, and da-da-da-da. Okay.
You're like,
sure,
yeah,
buddy.
totally. He's in heaven. Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead and think that.
I mean, religiously speaking, not to start a fire here, but I don't think you die and go to heaven anyways, but that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, I like that. Let's have that conversation.
Yeah, I don't believe in that either.
Well, it has to do with the resurrection and the intermediary state, if you would. Sheol.
Yep.
Sheol, the place of the dead. But again, another conversation. Maybe next week when we have Brother Augustine on, we can discuss this. So, one cop, cities across the country. I had like 16 variations of this meme, and this was the best one.
It's because of the overtly racist cartoons on the trolley there.
Right?
No, that's not.
You're like, this is the
why,
most racist
Jeremy.
one. Yeah, I love this one.
No, because it's a loop. The track is a loop because all the other ones, they're not.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that's a
shit.
good
I just
point.
noticed that. Holy shit. Okay.
Yep.
I know. I love it because it's totally true.
Jeremy was a little more focused on the
Well, it is
trolley car there.
distracting, it is
It is.
distracting.
Thank you, Tank, for covering.
I didn't make the memes, guys. I didn't make
Well,
them. Actually,
yeah,
the
it's
other ones
super-
might have been in better taste, but I think the next closest one had these people over here with the cop as well.
Well, yeah,
But
then
the reality is
more racist. Look at they're in orange jumpsuits, and then there's one guy that looks like he's in like a priest uniform. Like, yep, totally accurate. There's always one preacher, and then the rest of them are a bunch of you know what,
Mhm.
and demonetized.
right?
No, we're not
Hey, I didn't say.
monetized in
I
the
didn't
first
actually
place,
say it.
except for if you guys want to go over to Entropy and donate there. We are monetized on Entropy because they don't play games. And also, you can go to our Subscribe Star if you wish
Oh yeah.
and donate there, monthly donation, and we'll do stuff for you probably. Who knows?
Do it.
Who knows? We might not.
It may look awful, but it was lawful.
No, I love that guy, dude. I don't know about you guys, but I watched a lot of that trial. I came to really like that lawyer. Nelson.
Honestly, for what he is by himself, whatever, he's an excellent lawyer. He's really good.
fighting a
Robert
team of
Barnes is
4
giving him really
lawyers.
great praise. So
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
the thing. If it had been 3 other of him, it'd have been a whole
Yeah.
different ball game. Because he made some mistakes for sure, but it's one of him. So
Right.
what-
1 versus 4. Come on.
Mhm.
oh look, we already got. I just went over. We already got a downvote. Must be them spicy memes.
yeah,
Hurt my
Mhm.
feelings.
Any engagement.
that's probably the first downvote we've ever got. 'Cause I
Ah,
don't
we
think
got
I
one more week. Tonight's 2 possible outcomes: riots with violence and riots with smirks or sneers or whatever that is. Yes,
Anger.
anger. Riots
Oh,
of
wow.
love or riots of hate.
That 100% BLM discount code, though.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Damn.
Prosecution, knee neck, lack of oxygen. Defense, all these other things may have killed Floyd, including car exhaust. Prosecution, the car exhaust did not kill Floyd because his oxygen level was 98%. Defense,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mm.
Yep. That was pretty funny to watch happen in real time, I gotta say.
Wow. They admitted that the oxygen level was at 98%, and they
Mhm.
still believe that it was the knee on the neck that killed him.
Not only that, but when they brought that up, when the prosecution brought that up, they almost got a mistrial on the whole entire case because they were bringing up data that should have been presented way before then, and they were bringing witnesses back and stuff. It was really, really messy.
2 times there were opportunities for the judge to call mistrial, but he wouldn't. He's a political leftist, though, from my understanding. But this on appeal, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why on appeal. I'm not a lawyer by any means, but there's a lot of reasons why I would believe that they would get an appeal, including the fact that this was should have been a mistrial for various reasons, including old Mad Maxine, which I will get to here in a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If the oxygen isn't low, you must let him go. That's what this guy
Love
needs.
it.
Just needs some Cochrane sayings. That's all.
Exactly. If he wasn't handcuffed, he'd probably be waving.
That's where I'm at right now.
That's kind of how I feel right now.
Yeah, that's where I'm at mentally.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It's a little euphoric to understand where the world is at, where you're at, watching the death of your nation, or at least the final rattlings of whatever that nation had been for the last 100 years. But yeah, it's interesting. But we're just going to keep going down this route. And of course, just more proof. Found guilty on all 3 charges. The jury was smart for once. They knew they would be held accountable by us if they didn't deliver justice. What a jackass Alyssa Milano.
Yeah, I would say that they are smart because they don't want to see their houses get burned down with them in it. So yeah, self-preservation, extra smart. Very good job, jury.
Yeah, again, mob rule, mob justice, convicted by media, convicted by the mob. Someone complained about it wasn't justice. It took a year to get there. I'm thinking, dude, I worked in a jail for 13 years. The last big murder case I remember that we had, this guy killed his girlfriend ex-girlfriend, I think they had a kid together, had her come over, cut like stuff out of his window screen so he could stick a gun out of it, which is dumb, but whatever, and shot her when she pulled up to his house, and then they like found him later on. That was a pretty cut and dry case. The guy was in jail waiting for trial for like 2.5 years, because of all the evidence and all. They rushed this case.
Yeah,
Now,
they did.
again, I think that it's good that he got a quicker trial than most people would, but the case was rushed, guys. Trials like this usually, if they're not high profile, it could take 2-3 years to get to. A lot of evidence, a lot of stuff.
And I keep thinking, like, what are we back in, like, Salem witch trials era, where there's not even a freaking trial? People don't even want to listen to evidence. They just immediately want to burn people at the stake because they saw something. They might have saw something, or they heard something from somebody else. So it's like there's no due process anymore. The due process here was not good. It was awful.
Wasn't Alyssa Milano saying before the trial, like, we already saw it? Why is there even a trial?
Yeah, it was
or was
like
that some other?
It was Chelsea
liberal
Handler
bitch?
that said that.
Okay, yeah.
But
Chelsea
a lot of people
Handler.
were saying that. We have video. No, well, you didn't watch the video. You didn't watch the evidence, and it doesn't matter. Like, see, this is the only time for me anymore that I'm really like pro death penalty, because I don't want the state to have that power. I get the realization of needing to get rid of certain bad elements in society. But for me, if you're going to give someone the death penalty, it's like catching them red-handed, one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
They still get a freaking trial, though. Like, if we had it all video, we watched someone just kill someone in cold blood murder, and I would agree that we could give them the death penalty. Great. But we're still going to try all the evidence. We're still going to see everything. We're going to put it out there in the world and prove that our case against this person is correct. What the jury did was cave to the mob, and everything presented in this case was contradictory to the prosecution, in my opinion. Now, I could be biased on that. That's fine, whatever. But the things that they charged him with, that he was found guilty on, are contradictions within themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chauvin using his cosmic power of the universe to commit both intentional and unintentional murder on the same dude. How does this happen? I know how this happens. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's rhetorical, but it's just insanity.
First, you got to be a Mormon.
Yes,
Pretty sure that's what that is.
Mormon.
So from Robert Barnes, it says, all guilty. Less than a full day of deliberations for a 3-week trial, and factually complex and legally complicated case means the jury made up its mind long before they sat down, and definitely by the end of the opening statements, with no committed holdouts. Defense likely misread the jury, and also likely means it was not possible to get a fair jury in this case at the time in that city. Yeah, which is another reason why this is likely going to be a mistrial. Government will likely now double down, or not necessarily mistrial, but get an appeal as that it was an unfair trial, right? Government will likely now double down on these types of media gaslit prosecutions and makes the Rittenhouse defense all the more important. That is how I will react to this troubling verdict, doing all I can to not see such a process repeat itself in Rittenhouse. The response to something bad is always to try to do more good. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty good take on Barnes. Of course, I watch Barnes usually with Viva Fry on Sunday nights. Pretty regular for me, or go back and watch him later on. But he is rather well respected, well known, and he's been right. If you guys watch Barnes at all, he's often very, very right about these things and his predictions.
I mean, he sounds smart, just to me, at least. 'Cause I'm not.
Well, he do sound smart. I mean, that's a good enough reason as any,
It sounds smart. I mean, it makes sense to me, at least.
So I think Tipul had a pretty good take on this. Let this be a lesson to all police. You will get charged and you will be imprisoned. Exactly.
So just don't show up for your job, because there's a chance that if you do kill somebody, even if it's not on purpose and with malintent, you will get charged, you will get imprisoned.
Yep, if it can be politicized.
Yeah, all the more reason for people to not sign up to be police officers, I guess.
And Mike Cernovich's take was police will stop doing their jobs, get out of the cities, live in a deep red area where you're allowed to have lawful concealed carry. It's the era of self-reliance. And going back to that clip that we just watched of the Joker, that's what we're actually returning to. People have forgotten that the 60s turned really bad. It turned really sideways in most of America's cities. In fact, the reason why Detroit is the way it is now,
it's because of the 60s.
Is because of the 60s. It never recovered.
Never recovered, yeah.
New York only recovered because of Giuliani. Giuliani came in with law and order. The feds came in with Biden, and not just Biden alone, but I'm just saying, since he's the president now, Biden with his law and order, right? And Biden was a staunch proponent of certain things that were better for law and order. Again, though, it's not so much a solution I'm looking for from the federal government now. I am with Mike Cernovich. We need to get away from this stuff, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Decentralize.
Yep.
I mean, we've been preaching it for a long time. These guys are finally catching up.
Yeah, these guys, I mean, I think these guys had it in the back of their mind, but I think now that because of all this stuff going on, they're going to be more of a proponent for it, which is good. We need guys like Mike Cernovich that have a big following, that have a big platform to preach this kind of stuff, because people are just so fixated on, staying in the city and trying to make the city better. It's like, no, get away from the city, become more self-reliant. Like, that's really how you're going to be more happy.
Stop trying to fix the system.
Yeah.
Create a new system.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you can work. One of the great things is still, at least we can work with inside the system autonomously. Like, it's possible for now, at least.
Yeah.
As long as you pay taxes, you can pretty much live out in the wilderness for the rest of your life. No one's going to mess with you. So
yeah, but don't mess with the IRS, because they will find you and they will get you.
Well, the ATF too, but we'll get to that.
And the ATF too, but the IRS specifically, if you don't pay your taxes, you don't, do your part on that front, they have resources.
So after all this, just a short video of what actually happened there at the trial.
The air guitar.
Yes.
Resizing that real quick, guys. It looked like it was a little out of frame there. It says only the beginning. This is accountability, not justice. Remember that. We have being guilty on all three charges proves that violence is the answer.
Hey,
We have to choose violence with every injustice.
Yep, just burn it all down.
He's
are
right.
they wrong though?
No, he's right.
No, he's super right.
Pussy ass Republicans and white people will just let it happen.
Yep.
Right? Here we have, this isn't a celebration. There's been too few cases of accountability, and this isn't justice. This is just the first step. Next, we take the system. And then whoever's like, I can celebrate each little win, which is like, yeah, like you got something. I mean, in your retardedness, you got something.
Right? Yeah. You got one cop, but why aren't you more concerned about like the hundreds of thousands or millions of gangbangers that shoot each other? Like, I would be more concerned about that.
Well,
if Chauvin hadn't showed up, it would have been anybody else there, because Floyd was probably going to die that day. I mean, just how it is. What were you saying, Tank? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, well, you saw what happened last night, right? People are more upset that a cop shot someone attempting murder than the actual person. I mean, imagine if you was the person who almost got stabbed to death that day, and you get on Twitter and everyone's like, I literally saw people being like, the cops should just let them stab that girl because knife wounds are they're easier to fix.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah. No, they're
Maybe
going full
sometimes.
on.
Those are people who have never been stabbed before.
No, they were literally saying, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but this, Blue check marks on Twitter were saying, knife fights have been a long-standing tradition in Black history.
Oh my God.
We don't need the interference of white police officers.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. I agree
Yep.
with that. Like, just let you guys knife each other to death. Okay, fine. Fine by me.
I like that strategy.
I like that strategy
Well,
too.
And yeah, I think that's kind of what it is, right? I think maybe the more I pay attention to this stuff, the more I'm thinking we should take the Russian approach. When somebody invades Russia in the winter, they just burn down their own city and leave.
Yeah.
So like everyone who's in these like shitty areas, just fucking like fuck it, you can have it, and then leave and let them crumble.
That's a great analogy.
Because
exactly, man. You let them wallow in their own mess. But
Yeah.
that's the point of breaking away and saying, hey, we're just not going to be a part of your thing anymore. And we know, like, we all know they're going to come after us, but I'm going to make it really hard for them to do that.
But
Right.
if let's just say we defund the cops and they come after us, who's going to enforce the self-defense laws? Like they're going to show up and you shot somebody. Yeah, I did. Well, they weren't even on your porch yet. Well, no, they weren't. But you don't have time to investigate this. You might as well just go on with it.
Right?
Hank, let's not get ahead of the memes. We'll have some gun talk coming. We'll have some gun talk.
Hell yeah.
So I'm sure you guys heard this, right? You were told, for example, that Mr. Floyd died because his heart was too big. The truth of the matter is that the reason George Floyd is dead is because Mr. Chauvin's heart was too small. Because Cindy Lou Who did not get to touch his hand and greet him.
I was going to say, what is he, the Grinch?
Yeah.
This was the prosecution. They were saying that. Oh, Chauvin's heart was just too small.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Derek Chauvin was doing his freaking job.
Right?
I mean,
He really was. Like, George Floyd didn't want to be in the back of the police car, said he couldn't breathe, so he put him on the ground as per his request. What more could he have done?
He used a lower level of compliance. A taser may have put him into cardiac arrest.
Right?
That is possible.
He could have
It does
maced
happen.
him too and caused him to have cardiac arrhythmia too, just from like the stress of being maced and all that shit too. So either way, he was going to burn at the stake.
Yep. Says, if you can't be at the 4 p.m. call to action, there's a 7 p.m. Be there. Be angry. Abolition is the only justice. This is like no joke. On Twitter, this is what they do. They're cool. Just organize our little protest where we burn stuff down.
Wow.
And you can just be up there.
Yeah, let's burn Seattle down because Seattle is totally the same as Minneapolis.
Right.
All
Next time
cops
there's
are
a-
not Chauvin because the guy that shot Ashley Babbitt isn't facing any charges. So
Right? Well,
No.
Tank, don't you know, because she's a white chick, they don't care. It doesn't
that's
matter.
true. Very
And he
true.
was a black man, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Innocent of all things.
Innocent and a good father, and definitely didn't have a life of crime behind him.
Well, I'm going to assume he probably didn't, given that he worked for the feds. But in any case, it says here, next time there's a riot, I'm stealing a PS5 instead of an Xbox in solidarity. PlayStation says, we stand with Black community as the verdict has reached the George Floyd trial. This is the first step, but there is so much more to be done. Together with Sony Group, PlayStation will remain committed to addressing racial inequality and driving meaningful change.
Sounds like Sony wants black people to buy their product. Looks like I'm selling my PlayStation.
I was actually, as we were looking for the verdict yesterday, I was legitimately contemplating, not even joking, no hyperbole. I was legitimately contemplating just going out on a shopping spree. I mean, if everyone else is going to go get free shit, why can't I get free shit? Like, I could use, a PS5. I want one of those. And who's going to stop me if I go to a Target and then just jack one when everyone else is in there jacking one too? Like, if everyone else is going to get free shit, let's just accelerate this mofo.
I know. I feel bad because I just bought a GoPro and I'm like, I could have just went to
That's
Best
what
Buy
I
and
want too.
Got a
I want
GoPro.
a
Yeah.
GoPro. Yeah.
It's funny, you mentioned GoPro, and he talked about that, and it made me think of there's this really interesting YouTube channel called Vagrant Holiday. This guy is very dry, sarcastic, quite witty. Makes these videos where he basically travels to other parts of the world and lives in the woods and then just runs around and whatever. It's interesting. And one of the videos he made, one of the first ones, was the riots last year, and he's just walking around inside of the department stores while people are looting and whatever else. Yeah, it's crazy though. But yeah, go check out Vagrant Holiday. I haven't looked if he's put anything up in a while, but yeah, let's keep moving. A good day for justice, a bad day for racist. A wolf.
No.
Jesus.
What the fuck?
Appropriating dogs now.
The Oval Office.
Didn't they have to like send the dogs that Joe Biden has in the White
One.
House away, or one of them?
One, because the dogs are a PR move. They're German Shepherds, which are very energetic, and they wanted to make Joe Biden look tough. Same reason why he wears sunglasses and a bomber jacket, right?
Right. They want to make him look cool.
Does anyone know, did Joe Biden ever serve? Because I'm pretty sure he didn't. But he's walking around in like a World War II bomber jacket because they know that dummies will somehow believe that Joe Biden being older than dirt was somehow like a World War II bomber or something like that, you know?
Bombers are in style, though. I mean, he does look good. You can't lie about that.
They are good.
And we all know that those dogs, he didn't train those dogs, and he's not handling his own dogs. He's not taking care of his own dogs. He has like some intern that like goes and picks up the poop for him.
Yeah. Like I said, the one dog, it kept biting people. So they sent it away.
Oh, poor baby.
So
it would help if they just actually train their own freaking dogs.
Right. So I know you guys are aware of Tony Timpa, and I hope most of our audience is, because, you know, I've talked about it, have addressed it before. In fact, it was one of the first Ends Justify the Memes episodes, which will never be seen, because that was with my original co-host who is no longer with us. So
kill him?
in any case, you know about George Floyd. Have you heard of Tony Timpa? And just going down the list real quick: an unarmed black man, an unarmed white man, officer knee on his neck for about 8 minutes, officer knee on the back for about 14 minutes. Fentanyl level, fatal fentanyl level, and recent meth use, high on cocaine. Resisted for several minutes before restrained on the ground. Resisted for a few seconds before restrained on the ground. Told cops I can't breathe. Told cops you're going to kill me. Officers did not laugh or joke as he lost consciousness. Officers did laugh and joke as he lost consciousness. And finally, convicted and not convicted, charges dismissed. Tony Timpa was a white man. You can go find the video. It was in Dallas, Texas, and the officers were found to have done their job. I don't know if they've killed him or not in any way, shape, or form. He probably overdosed. The exact same situation as George Floyd, more or less, except for his skin tone. And the cops were kind of jerks. They were kind of teasing him and making fun of him. But I kind of get the dark humor too, because I've worked in those fields, and you know, you deal with a lot of heavy stuff. So there's got to be a way to have some sort of levity, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's just sad. Like just a difference of skin tone, and look at how different of reaction people have towards it.
I just looked in the chat. Osis saying there's going to be federalized police. FBI is going to go to Gestapo already. I agree with you, Osis. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. In any case, so that's pretty much everything with George Floyd. So I just wanted to say rest in peace, DMX. And
I was upset when DMX died. Oh God, Maxine.
And
that's nightmare fuel right there. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so
that is a pretty good Photoshop.
Malzine and her statements, right? And saying that Chauvin guilty, showed he better be guilty or we take to the streets. Orders BLM to get confrontational. Of course, here we have, we must move quickly to disrupt all communications down there. My lord, is that legal?
She definitely looks like she belongs with those ones, whatever that race of alien is in Star Wars.
Yeah, those movies really don't exist, so I don't really care. Not to me, at least. From a certain point of view. So we know what happened, right? Minnesota National Guard was fired upon early Sunday morning in a drive-by shooting in Minneapolis. One guardsman was taken to the hospital. The incident happened just hours after Rep. Maxine Waters told people to be more confrontational. Imagine that. It's not like she's ever done that before. It's not like she's ever told people to get into politicians' faces if you see them out eating in dinner or anything like that, you know?
And just like, people in general that wear red MAGA hats, just get in their faces and make their lives a complete and total nightmare.
Well, the good news is someone has some sense and try to censure her. Says we will be censoring her very soon. The issue with this is no one likes Marjorie Taylor Greene in Washington because, well, she's a patriot and she is a little crazy. Don't get me wrong, but I don't really care because the rest of them guys are ultra crazy, and I would take her kind of crazy over their kind of crazy any day.
She's kind of like that tolerable crazy.
Well, she's just fighting back with the left the way the left fights us. The difference is anyone who's on the right, that is anyone left of Mao, as Don is fond of saying, anyone right of Mao basically is not allowed to use the left's weapons or you're a bad person. Once you are on the proper side of Mao, you're that far left, you can use whatever weapons you want because your morality is correct in the way that you think.
I don't think women should be in politics, period.
Well, that's a whole other issue.
Here.
I'm going to get to the root of the problem here. Let's just cut the shit.
Well, we're going to talk about some strong women in politics there, Jeremy. And speaking of which, I should let you know that this didn't go through because the Democrats will not allow a slap on the wrist, that is a censure, to happen to Maxine Waters. So here we have breaking. Democrats plan legislation to expand Supreme Court. House panel advises bill that would pay reparations to descendants of slaves. House Oversight Committee advances DC statehood bill. House Democrats have reintroduced a bill to ban high-capacity gun magazines. Sorry. House Democrats have introduced a resolution to abolish Electoral College. None of this will happen. These are a wish list, and these are probing legislations. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think we called that out, or at least I called that out on my stream a long time ago. I said that as soon as you see these people get into office, they're going to try to pass all this bullshit, but it's all going to be symbolic. Nothing's actually going to go through. And this is, it's just, I think it's a follow through of that. Isn't
this all the stuff that they said that they weren't going to do, or they said that they weren't going to make it in the forefront of their, political gain, and here they are just doing it right out the gate, like not even a year in.
Yeah, well, if you look at who they put in charge of some of this stuff, like I think the Supreme Court justice thing, they handed that off to who's that little short guy that can barely walk and he looks like a little troll.
Nadler?
Yeah, Nadler. They gave it to Nadler, and Nadler's the guy you give the project is going to fail to because you're like, yeah, just Nads, he's going to fuck it up. Just give it to him.
Just give it to the Nads.
I got a video somewhere of Nadler literally, he sharts himself.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
And he has to walk off stage all weirdly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, he definitely has.
He looks like the Penguin.
Yeah, exactly. He does look like a penguin, but you get my point. It's like they don't take it seriously when you give the guy like Nadler. You know what I'm saying?
The thing is, you can analyze that. That's great, and I would agree with you. But this is a feeler too. When you start seeing stuff like this, and you're hearing it, of course, in the zeitgeist, that is the left wing zeitgeist. You're hearing it out there in the ether, and then you start seeing legislation. Expect this in about 5 to 10 years.
It's a desensitizer. They're trying to desensitize you to the idea of that thing being in the court and being decided. So they're just introducing it to get you used to the idea. So the next time you hear it, it's not as far-fetched and you're more likely to accept it. It might take 3 or 4 tries, but they'll get there eventually.
Well, speaking of courts, here Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez backs court packing because she says court should not overrule legislation. Shouldn't overrule.
Well, isn't that kind of like the Supreme Court's job is to be the overview of the legislation that passes?
Their why do we have is to supposedly interpret the Constitution, which is plainly written, so there's no interpretation needed. But to interpret the Constitution, to look at the law, make sure it's constitutional, which they tend to very liberally interpret quite often. So
yeah, they do. Well, it just depends on what kind of Constitution these Supreme Court justices have been reading lately. Because some of them say that it's a living document, and some of them are, constitutionalists being like, what it says, what it is. There's no living document that you guys are supposing that it is. And even the conservative leaning ones, they have been kind of flip-floppy about how they interpret the Constitution.
What's interesting too, if you look into the history of that idea of a living, breathing constitution, a living document, that's straight out of the progressive era. It comes out of like the 1920s. And the 1920s was a bit of a, not completely, but as far as economics and stuff went and the government, it was kind of, a backlash to the progressives of the 19 teens, that were originally coming up, like Woodrow Wilson and the original Roosevelt Teddy. Mm-hmm. So that progressivism kind of went away a little bit when you got Calvin Coolidge in and all that stuff. And of course, it came back hardcore with FDR, and that's when that mindset of a living, breathing document really got enshrined. But it didn't exist before then. Literally.
Just rewrite history to not include FDR, any of these guys, because they don't want to include our guys. They don't want to include our guys that actually, did great for our country, that are more on the conservative side. So why don't we just do the same and just exclude FDR, Woodrow Wilson, Calvin Coolidge, all these idiots that ruined the country?
Well, no, Calvin Coolidge was good to go. He was good to go.
He was good to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He was a good president. He didn't do anything. He just sat around. He let the market recover within a year. He was like, yeah, he let people be. It was good to go.
But yeah, let's get rid of FDR. Let's rewrite history to make FDR the bad guy, which he should be, but whatever.
So here we have, this is what actually happened though. It says Nancy Pelosi and senior Dems killed their own party's bid to pack the Supreme Court. And so they did something right for once, but I think more or less they didn't want to get killed in the midterms. I think that's what that was about. And we're going to talk about Nancy Pelosi for a couple minutes here, because she had made some statements about Trump withdrawing from Afghanistan back in 2020 that suddenly, all of a sudden this year, not a big deal. So before it was a bad strategic decision for the president to remove the troops from Afghanistan, but now Biden doing it. And on the historic date of September 11th, that's going to be a good thing. Now, what's behind this, though, is that the Trump administration made a deal with the Taliban, literally, and the Taliban's like, okay, we won't attack anybody, we won't kill anybody, we won't attack your troops. And now they're getting antsy because they're like, wait a minute, Biden's going to keep us in here keep them in here for another, what they're supposed to be pulling out now. So, another several months, another 6 months or so.
I was going to say 5-6 months.
Yeah. So they don't like that. And I guarantee you what will happen is eventually the Taliban, being the stupid idiots they are, will start attacking American troops because they're still there. And they said they were going to move out. And then the Biden administration will go, well, look, they attacked us, so we have to stay now.
Right? No, Bill, you're wrong. The Taliban are not stupid idiots. They're stunning and brave. Get it right, okay?
Yeah, we're right about Riddlers. I don't have a lot of respect for them, so.
That's what the leftists think. They think that we're ignorant because we are critical of the Taliban and of these terrorists, but they're stunning and brave in these people's eyes. That's who they model all of their political ideology after.
I kid you not. I was in Bahrain. This is obviously not the same thing as Afghanistan, but I was in Bahrain, and my lieutenant wandered off in the town or whatever, and he went down to some area this guy was leading him down to because he was looking for some place to kind of go party. This guy's like, oh yeah, come on. And he's like, he led him all the way down in this seedy area, and this guy brings him to this other guy standing there, and he turns around, and underneath this cloak he's got two little naked boys or something like that. And he said, my lieutenant bolted back. He was like, what the, just got out of there. Yeah.
So that's what they're hiding underneath those dresses.
This is, I'm just saying though, most people don't understand that it's very common in the Islamic world. It's not just girls, it's little boys as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, with that little smear, let's play this about smears. Nancy Pelosi telling us her tactics.
Okay.
You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear.
Okay.
It's an old video, but
called the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it.
We need to know, are we about to put somebody on the United States Supreme Court who committed a sexual assault?
I believe the survivor. I believe the woman.
I just want to say to the men of this country, just shut up and step up.
Oh,
And you write it, and if they see it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation that the press reported the smear.
All that time he was out fooling around with his buddies. And we know what that means. And it doesn't mean what he says it means.
A woman says the president's U.S. Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, assaulted her when she and Kavanaugh were both in high schools.
There is evidence suggest.
So the wrap-up smear. It's what they do all the time, isn't it? Gave it away a few years ago. That's how it works. And that's exactly what she did with the Donald Trump thing and even writing an official statement. Oh, no, it's just he's a horrible person. He's bad, blah, blah, blah. And a minute later, it changes with Biden.
bad, okay.
Yeah. Will Pelosi and Schumer honor the officer who was murdered by a Nation of Islam killer? Will his body lie in the Capitol Rotunda or nah? And
I forgot about that. I legitimately forgot about that. Oh my god!
Yep.
They psyoped me.
Did.
I've been psyoped.
This is why I bring it up. It says, poor guy, Dems only care if a Trump supporter supposedly does it, I guess. Yeah, because, we were just talking about Islam a second ago, but protected class, folks. Protected class.
Okay, so we've got the blacks and the Islams, and now the Asians that are protected and we can't criticize or make fun of anymore. So great, yay!
I just make fun of everybody, including white people, and you'll be all right.
Oh yeah, that's I take the South Park approach of I just talk crap about everybody equally. It's just easier to make jokes about certain demographics of people.
Yeah, well, the thing is that humor is literally a tool that you use to cope with things that are painful. Like, there's only two reasons why you laugh, really. Things are either painful or very joyful. So it's just how it goes. Anyways, it says Pelosi said she could have taken on Capitol rioters. I'm a street fighter.
Oh.
But she was outsmarted by a hairdresser.
I would like to see her go in Mortal Kombat. That would be fun.
This person said she couldn't stand up again after she knelt. But okay, that's true. You remember that?
She needed handlers.
Remember everyone took a knee?
I remember that. That was great. That was so stunning and brave.
Yeah, and they all wore those scarves from African nation.
Those African pattern scarves and shit. I thought that's cultural appropriation.
Or not a nation, a tribe, whatever it was. Yeah.
I don't know what that crap is.
Here we have Nancy Pelosi says she could take on the Capitol. Whoa. Street fighters. Freaking mouse. Getting all mousy on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we have, I'd have beaten an old lady with a stick. Nancy Pelosi, street fighter. Doubt. Literally anyone. Yeah, beat that lady. Let's see. Oh, I can do that. It's kind of meta. Look at that. I was moving it from this screen, looking at it, but it's a second screen. It's pretty cool. And oh! But no, jokes aside, Nancy Pelosi is rather tough, evidenced by this video here.
So far.
And yeah. It was a deep fake, guys. I know. Here's the real video.
Can't unsee that.
This is actually what she did. AOC was in fear for her life in the bathroom. I hope none of you got a seizure from that.
No, I'm not no pussy.
Meanwhile, Minnesota City Council to alter looting passports. The Minneapolis City Council has voted unanimously for equitable distribution of looting passports to peaceful protests.
Hmm.
That
Oh,
by
so they do have a 100% BLM discount code. Cool.
That's the phrase that they're using now for this, by the way. I don't know if you heard this or not yet, but it's making the rounds. It's like material redistribution or something like that, which is their kind of Marxist rephrasing of looting.
Well, they started
I love
that the other year.
That's a great language war update. That's really good. I love that one.
It goes back to the book In Defense of Looting or something like that.
Okay.
Speaking of looting in BLM and Great Black Leaders, we have Loot the Walmart.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. And we also know what's actually behind BLM.
Hi, Marks. How are you doing?
How you doing?
Minneapolis. We voted for this. Okay.
Yes.
Speaking of which, I have some on the ground footage. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
George Floyd was like, "What, dude?"
Oh God, no!
Looking down from heaven, you know.
Interesting
though. It looks like he's looking up.
Every breath you
looking up.
take.
Am I mistaken? Everyone knows about this by now, but still had to be in here. BLM protesters rally for victim. Leave after learning he was white.
Oh.
Oh man, clown world.
He just sounded like he had a black name, but then they found out, oh, he's white. Never mind.
I'll tell you what. I know this. There are good ways to take advantage of these riots right now, and Ron Paul, being the genius he is, disguises the Federal Reserve as Nike store and hopes rioters will burn it down.
Good luck.
You
That
must.
always gets good headlines.
You must use your enemy's tactics. That's all I know. Yeah, use it against them.
Yeah, good luck with the Secret Service protecting the Federal Reserve.
Have you ever been so offended at something you thought, man, I need to steal a flat screen TV right now?
Well, not in the past, but now I'm kind of starting to feel that way.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit.
It's the cool thing to do, from what I heard.
Yeah, everybody's doing it. Might as well join in.
Let's steal some guns.
Yeah, let's
buddy.
go for it.
And make some napalm.
Oh shit! I didn't have my Fed Post banner ready. Shit. Okay, never mind.
The ATF is now listening to this stream.
Oh, I saw this meme.
U.S. cities right now, FBI. Help us identify people from January 6th.
I've been talking about that nonstop on my stream. It's so
Right.
retarded.
Current riots, FBI. People who took selfies at the Capitol 3 months ago. And speaking of the Capitol, if you guys hadn't heard yet, the Capitol police officer, Brian Sicknick, who engaged rioters, suffered 2 strokes and died of natural causes. Yet, both the Washington Post article, I covered this on -1 the other day, and CNN were like, it's too bad we can't convict people of homicide now.
Right.
Like, no joke, that was in their articles.
Damn. Okay. Well,
Some strange talk coming from the all cops are bastards types on this
Right?
whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing they wrote that before the George Floyd verdict came out.
Yeah. Well, have no fear, Delaney, because we did it. We saved America.
Yay!
We did it, Patrick.
Yay!
We saved America.
Yay! We did it!
Here we have the Virgin Capitol protester. Guarantees no
With his, like,
Trump will
weird-looking
ever
arms.
be in office again. Gets companies severs all ties to Trump. Occupies the Capitol for less than an hour. Needs calls, actions to attempted coup. Media calls. I don't know. I can't read all of a sudden. Universally condemned by both parties. National Guard called in to end the LARPing. Takes podiums and AOC's dirty shoes and satisfies sexual fetish desires. I guess. National manhunt initiated to identify suspects. And then we have the Chad BLM rioter gets Biden elected. Universally praised by Democrats. Government officials shit themselves and do nothing. Gets companies to donate millions to Biden and social justice causes. Establish autonomous zones, which last month's media calls actions a mostly peaceful protest. takes MacBook and flat screen TV to enjoy with the whole family. Attempts to identify suspects, decries as racist. Yes. And then, so you have the constitutional right to protect your country, so the Antifa and BLM burn down. Stop being a Fed.
Oh man.
And these are the same people that don't realize that this is actually BLM. We got.
That's where that new house came from.
Oh, sorry.
What'd you do?
I got some breaking news I'm gonna share here in a minute.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Pulled in.
Police in England and Wales to record misogyny as a hate crime. Pack it in, boys. It's over.
Wow.
So you can get arrested for your tweets, and then if they're misogynistic, then you're not only get arrested, but it's a hate crime.
I'm gonna have to delete my Twitter.
Oof.
All I know is rounds will start flying eventually. The media is anti-white. The government is anti-white. Sports is anti-white. Hollywood is anti-white. The justice system is anti-white. The education system is anti-white. Big tech companies are anti-white. America is anti-white. Get it yet, white man? Yes.
Yes.
Know the warning signs of white supremacy: full-time employment, literacy, professional or technical degree, regular church or temple attendance, auto insurance, good credit rating, no criminal record.
Like, I want to say this is bad, right? But that thing, the signs of whiteness that we did a long time ago was basically this, right?
Yeah.
It literally was this. Yes.
Yeah, if you're not a pile of shit, you're a white supremacist.
I'm gonna go grab a beer. Do you want anything?
I'm good.
Give me one too, Delaney. I'm going out protesting all these fascists and government forcing us to blindly obey them. Why the silly mask? All I know is this man took a knee and accomplished nothing. This man took a knee and ended a pandemic. Not all heroes wear capes.
It's true. It was not a lose-lose situation. I thank Chauvin for that.
Here we have conservatives when you ask them to conserve something other than Israel.
I don't understand the obsession with Israel, to be honest. And I don't even.
It's that weird. It's not even weird. It's that sect of Christian evangelical Protestants that believe that Zionism has to occur in order for God to return, for Christ to return. And therefore they wish to accelerate that, which to me is weird and stupid. But I don't really think that there's supposed to be a third temple in the Bible anyways. I think that's called dispensationalism. That's things that are attributed much later in the future, when people had already realized in the past that certain scriptural passages mean something else. So it's the modernization of passages. It's people believing this. But actually, this is all part of when you start studying like how the global technocracy, one world government people think and work and all that. Most of them are Zionists too because of this kind of stuff. Like I'm pretty sure Cecil Rhodes had some beliefs in that himself. Cecil B. Rhodes being the founder of the Rhodes Scholars, who wishes to unite America under the crown again. So, yeah. Pete Buttigieg is a Rhodes Scholar, and so was Bill Clinton. Getting into the conspiracy side of things, just saying. Joe Biden, who in God's name needs a weapon that can hold 20 rounds. You know who has two thumbs? This guy. All right. So the attack you were talking about, just a little GIF, and that's about all I'm going to be able to show on YouTube anyways. That is definitely a potential murder. And of course, the reactions. Teenagers have been fighting.
That's the one I was talking about.
Having fights, including fights involving knives for eons. We do not need police to address these situations by showing up to the scene and using a weapon against one of the teenagers. So y'all need help. I mean, that sincerely, like,
not the teenagers that Not the teenagers that are wielding knives and trying to stab each other. It's bad on the cops for bringing a gun to a knife fight. Yeah, makes total sense.
What's I said? Trying to read this is just right now is even just an absolute nightmare. It's a headache. It's like,
Painful.
what do you?
It's just the they're finally coming out and saying exactly what we've been saying this whole time about why they don't cover black on black violence. That's all it is. Like, blacks kill each other in dozens every weekend in the cities. They don't mention that at all. And this is why right here, because they want blacks to just kill each other. Apparently, according to her, she wants, as long as if a black person dies, it's okay if it's by another black person. If it's by a white person or by a cop, then it's bad.
How else is World Star supposed to continue to be famous and be on the map if black people aren't uploading their fights onto the World Star Hip Hop anymore?
Well, here's my thing.
Spicy.
I'm all on board with the whole Malcolm X thing where he was like, let's let the black people go live off in their own communities or do whatever. We don't need the white man. I'm cool with that. You want to do that, that's fine. You want to get rid of your police, that's fine. The problem is, of course, they're going to bring this to everyone's community, which maybe not be a bad thing, actually, because we have cases like this. Los Angeles man sues LAPD after his testicle exploded when shot with a rubber bullet during protest. And every guy within a mile radius.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love how they included Thanos on that. That's great.
My appendix carry, and I'm always in the back of my head, like, what if a round goes off in my crotch? That's not
on the crown jewels. You don't want that.
Yeah. It's like pretty much impossible, but the nethers, man, got to take care of them. We also all saw this again. Why do we need cops? I don't know. Because stuff like this.
Right.
This guy supposedly had been in the neighborhood a few times and kept harassing, said some bad things. So this gentleman who was in the military, of course, confronted him, and then BLM showed up at his house. Well, I mean, what are we going to do? We if we want, we can all be Chicago. We can all go on Chicago field trips. We can all live like this daily, as far as I'm concerned. And in the words of Willem Dafoe from Boondock Saints, when you realize that if they defund the police, then they can't enforce gun laws. I'm something of a progressive myself.
Yeah.
Fact check, though. I think that's from Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's from Spider-Man.
Was that from Spider-Man? For some reason, I thought it was Boondock Saints, but
Boondock Saints is a much better movie. We can all acknowledge that.
Of course, yeah.
Spider-Man was shit, but
especially in the very beginning when they kill that guy with a toilet. That was the greatest.
Yeah.
That was the best part.
Epic.
Just drop a toilet on a guy's head. You're good to go.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate the fact check, Jeremy. I don't want to be wrong about culturally.
Yeah, I want to make sure you're
movies.
accurate and you don't get censored by YouTube or something,
Speaking of culturally significant movies, remember in RoboCop movies when corporate America aids criminals and helps incite riots so they can lower property values and buy up the city while privatizing that city's police force. Ha ha ha, science fiction is crazy. This is exactly what de Blasio was talking about in New York City. And the Squad just recently got their own private security. And I can tell you right now, because I know dudes that work private security, they told to do lots of stuff. In fact, I was told by a dude in private security that I know that he was given authorization. I believe him because he's a truthful guy. He was given authorization to smoke looters. Smoke them during the riots last year.
Lucky.
And he said, he told corporate to screw off because he wasn't going to be killing people over a TV. But he was absolutely, and I know a lot of guys like this, like absolutely authorized to do such a thing, but because they're moral people, they wouldn't do it. And
would he do it if like they were coming at him and trying to kill him and attack him? Would he defend himself?
Probably. When he was telling me this, first thing I thought was, well, I don't want to be shooting Americans, man.
Absolutely.
And he was like, well, I'm not going to shoot someone for stealing a TV. And I was like, well, there's that too.
But if somebody was like trying to come at him with a knife or something,
First thing
or
he said, if someone's raping somebody or trying to murder them, whatever, he goes, I'll smoke those fools all day.
absolutely, yeah. But
You
for
know?
a TV, nah, that's easy. Like
Right.
that can be replaced.
But I'm just
Lights
saying,
cannot.
he has his own embedded morality.
That's good. Yeah.
You're not going to get that in every single person that does private security.
Mm-hmm.
You guys really need to think about this. And who's going to afford the private security? Because I guarantee you aren't.
No, definitely not me.
I am the security.
Yeah. He's his own security. He's my security until he leaves.
I'm just waiting till Mad Max starts. I can't wait. I mean, that's why I've been growing out the hair. I shaved a mohawk in my head. I was ready at the beginning of the pandemic. I literally shaved the mohawk in my head to let everybody know.
Don't mess with me,
That
bro.
I was ready for the Mad Max if it was coming. If we had to fight over toilet paper, whatever it was, I'm ready.
Do you have a hockey mask and a leather collar? Because unless you have those things, you're just not really ready.
Humongous? No, I can't fill those shoes. I'm not that big, but I'll do my best.
That's hella funny.
Well, from today's standards, he wasn't very big either, actually.
Yeah, that's true. I'm more of like a the smart strategic guy. I'm not the blunt force guy. So I'll get you when you least expect it.
Yeah, you're no Braun Strowman, but you could definitely do some damage, but just with your strats.
I'm not gonna roll up to your compound in the middle of the day and be like, "Give me your gasoline right now."
But, right.
Or take like I would be a Trojan horse and be like, "Please, sir, can I just have some mo?" And then you just come in stealthily and just take them out that way.
Something like that, yeah.
You could just tag team them, Jeremy. There you go.
Yep.
Just as a little callback real quick to Osis's comment earlier about the federal police. That's part of this too, partner, is that we'll probably get private security forces in cities or federal police forces, which you should know always goes bad. Like that's how, the Stasi, the Gestapo, all that's how that goes, right?
That's why you need that mountain compound.
Yeah,
gotta get that mountain compound, man.
Get that GoFundMe going, Bill.
I'm trying. I'm not super worried about it, but only because I have my white privilege card.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it trumps everything.
That should definitely just get you every bank loan possible to afford your compound.
Well, unfortunately, I think at a certain point, that's going to be the only card that gets you access into the internment camps. So
You might want to cut that with some scissors.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're right about that, but I can tan. I've worked night shift for so long. So we'll see. But if I do get my compound, it'll be something like this. When the Alphabet Boys kick down my door expecting Poogie spikes and tannerite, but instead see the horror maze I've created filled with pictures of dead dogs, footage of Waco raid, and recordings of small children asking their dads, please come back home.
We will hold the hot gates.
And of course, we know they fight how they train.
Oh.
And U.S. patent, the ATF immediately. Is this a gun?
Is that a machine gun?
But yeah, is this a machine gun? Yeah. But seriously though, this is actually what I got planned. It's like when the feds track you down in your Appalachian cave home, but you've been training an actual effing Wendigo in guerrilla warfare after feeding him chicken tenders and Bang energy drinks for the last 6 months. I mean,
good luck, feds, trying to get past my is it Wendigo or
Wendigo?
If you want to watch a movie that has the word Wendigo in it, go watch. Oh crap! Now I can't remember the name of the movie. Why did that just blank on me?
It's called A Wendigo Story.
Wendigo.
I will. It'll come back to me.
We're only really a few months away from having actual Wendigos because China's already doing gene splicing with animals.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah. We're gonna have our pet Wendigos soon.
They're gonna just release it all onto us, just like a few at a time. Like we joked last night on the stream. There's probably one just hanging out in the corner of Jeremy's
invisible
apartment.
Asian guy they CRISPR'd up like 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's just hanging. He's hanging like a bat, like this, just waiting to be activated.
Well, the movie I remembered is called Ravenous, and you'll love it or you'll hate it. I really enjoyed it the first time I watched it. Anytime I watch it, my wife is like, "Why are you watching this? It's stupid." And my daughter says the same thing. But it is a really good movie, and it is a lot of twists and turns, and most people don't know about it, but it was a little bit of a cult classic from the late 90s, early 2000 period. Ravenous, go check it out. Anyways,
I was gonna say that sounds like something that like my dad would watch, and I would go, Dad, why are you watching this stupid movie?
It's a good movie with a good plot if you like a suspense thriller. It's a little off though, because it has a weird music to it, has some stuff to it that's a little off that, you know, makes you feel disturbed. But I think that's part of the ambiance of the movie.
It's probably
And
something my dad would watch.
Yeah, it takes a twist, but it is a good movie. If you go look at reviews of it or whatever, I'm a bit of a film critic, film buff guy, so you know, I people like Fast and the Furious, and I'm like, that's crap, and I like Ravenous, and they're like, that movie's horrible. So I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I would prefer. I mean, if you think Fast and the Furious is a good movie, then I'm sorry, like I don't trust your ability to critique films.
If you think any of the Star Wars outside of the original trilogy were good movies?
Oh no, absolutely not. The original trilogy are the best. But does that mean I haven't
They
seen
still
them?
weren't good movies. They were great in their own way.
They
But
were
they had
great,
horrible acting.
amazing, horrible acting, horrible special effects. But have I never seen any of the other ones just out of curiosity, or because when I was like 8 or something, the episode 1 came out. So of course, like that was a big deal. So we went to the movie theaters to see it when I was a kid, and yeah, it wasn't the same, but it was still like. It was okay, but now with all the 8, 9, and 10 coming out, it's like, oh, this is garbage. Or 7, 8, and 9. It's like, what the hell is this? What did you guys do?
I will likely go to my deathbed never seeing the last Star Wars trilogy.
Don't bother.
Whatever.
Don't bother. They're garbage.
What's a double trilogy? Because that's what it is. There's 9 of them.
Yeah,
and
there's
only
9.
3 of them are any good. So, anyways,
Right.
let's keep moving. When you're the first cop in the stack to conduct a red flag confiscation at a Vietnam vet's house, and you hear Fortunate Son blasting from the inside. I know Fortunate Son. Oh,
Hell yeah, sing it, Bill. Let me hear it, baby.
yeah. Constitutional carry does not make our officers safe. Who said it was about officer safety?
Oh,
yeah. It's not about your safety. No, it's about mine. It's great.
Black Americans flock to gun stores and clubs. I need to protect myself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That's
Ownership
assault rifle
amongst
right
Black
there.
Americans up by 58.2%. All about it.
I'm all about it too. Like I've been saying this for a long time. People need to take their own self-defense in their own hands. If you hate the police so much, then why not learn how to defend yourself so that way you don't have to call the police if you're so scared of a police encounter.
It's funny because I actually took this from I agree with you, Delaney, but I actually took this off a Twitter account that's like really racist. So they're trying to put, they're like, this is a bad thing. Look what's happening.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean,
No,
yeah,
it's a great thing. Everyone needs
the,
to be armed.
the racists, of course, are going to be like, no, we don't want more armed Black people. But me, just as an American who doesn't, I mean, I see color, but to me, American it's an idea. I want more Black Americans to take control of their home protection. And most Black Americans I know freaking hate the cops. And I always encourage them like, hey, if you hate the cops so much and want to have less encounters with them because of gang violence, whatever it may be, take your own self-defense into your own hands instead of depending on the police to come and protect you and save you if you hate them so goddamn much.
Well, if the NFAC is any indication, then Black people aren't very good with guns anyway. So I'm not too worried.
Oh,
Black Guns Matter. That's actually their big thing. That group is going around and teaching people in the city, the inner cities, how to use guns properly. But I don't think they do that with gang members. They're talking about regular citizens,
right.
and that's the unfortunate thing is most of the regular citizens, they want police, they don't want the gangs, but these freaking crazy nut job BLM folks are taking that away from them. And the gangs are just going to get bigger. It's going to become Somalia. I have this too. on that. This is weird, but yeah, if you guys can't see it, it says, there it is. Like, what the hell? Americans make up less than 5% of the world's population, but they own 48% of the world's civilian-owned guns. But, you know, that,
USA.
Yeah, that might change. You know, the gun laws, they're trying to go after getting stricter a little bit.
And those are only the ones that they know about that are registered.
Right? What about all
Right.
the... I know so many people that make their own guns nowadays.
You mean like this, Delaney?
Oh, yeah.
To the town of our free rode a stranger one fine day. Hardly spoke to folks around him, didn't have too much to say.
Damn.
No one dared to ask his business, no one dared to make a slip. The stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip. Big iron on his hip.
Oh my God.
It was early in the morning when he rode into the town. He came riding from the south side, slowly looking all around. He's an outlaw, loose and running, came the whisper from each lip. And he's here to do some business with a big iron on his hip. Big iron on his hip.
This is a
In this
shoddy,
town
man.
there lived an outlaw by the name of Texas Red. Many men had tried to take him.
It
and
never
that
stops,
many
no matter
men
how they
would
try.
take.
Never stops.
We're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
Welcome to the rice fields, mother.
Drop it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The dog with the...
You will never get this. You will never get this. La 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 la.
Yeah.
Missed a tank. He just went full semi-automatic.
Oh my God, that was great.
Violence has escalated.
Yes.
Oh, Mike Jones. Mr. Grand Thumb. I feel like one day our paths will cross, sir. Maybe. Maybe. I guarantee you at some point, the more trading I start doing, probably after the baby comes. I'm just saying.
Mm.
Yes, we will cross paths. So shall see to convince him to review memes with us. So here we have, come out with your hands up, or we're sending in the female cops.
Oh,
Again,
that's
guys,
great.
all reasons why, just let the police be defunded, right? It's like, what?
Oh, man.
Dispatch, this is Unit 3. I have one female in custody. Dispatch, can you hear me? Okay, I saw earlier Yiz was in our chat, so I was over on her show, Dragons of Discord, her that segment or whatever you want to call it, the show that she does on Monday nights with Matt Christian and Don the Pleb and Wes Waverly or Waverly, whatever Wes's name is. Sorry. And in any case, she had this at the end and I couldn't stay long, so she shared this to me. So Yiz made this herself.
That's awesome.
You're thinking, did you fire 6 shots or only 5? Now, to tell you the truth, I forgot myself in all this excitement. You could ask yourself the question, do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Get off my lawn.
Oh God. Oh God. No.
Get the female cops off the beat. That's all I have to say.
Yep.
Taser. When you're in the military, you will understand the phrase "back blast area all secure." If not, you might know this phrase: "Don't make me use my taser." That's an AT-4, by the way. That is a fully packaged, basically rocket launcher. You just got to pick it up, take off the safety basically, and send her out. It'll take out most tanks that aren't heavily armored.
Standard police issue.
Yeah.
Can I try?
Oh, sorry. I thought that was my taser.
Oh my gosh.
A little call back to old COD, Modern Warfare.
Oh yeah.
Taser, taser, taser. So anyways, I started blasting.
Yes. Finally an Always Sunny reference. The one I've been waiting for.
Yes.
That meme comes up like every week, man. You better start believing in biblical prophecies. You're in one.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Trade offer. I receive billions in contributions. You receive UN women. Stop interrupting women. Stop interrupting women.
Oh, okay.
In any case, sorry, Delaney, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Whatever. Do it. I do plenty of interrupting myself, so it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. No, we all do. It's impossible not to, as far as I'm concerned, unless you're not going to ever say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Got my second shot. Got my free Krispy Kreme. Get vaccinated when you can. Keep your thoughts on people's weight out your mouth.
And he doxed himself by giving his birthday right there, too. That's really nice.
Right?
I mean, I'm halfway to getting a new credit line in that guy's name with that right there.
Right?
Thank you.
I love the Antichrist. I love the Antichrist. We've got you surrounded. Come enjoy your free donuts. Mine reset.
Oh.
I mean, this is just what we're living in. I mean, we all know this is the reality of it. We did all that national stuff. Let's go to the real stuff, the global stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hate the Antichrist. I should force him to drink corn syrup.
Oh my God.
Oh, you'll like this one, Tank.
How could you ever be so stupid as to let evil, detached people dictate what you think and believe?
The experts.
Oh my God.
Why?
I
I
just
have to roll 2 mouses.
bro, I can't do this shit.
You can't.
I can't
You don't?
do this expert shit. Fuck them.
I love that the mainstream media's position is, yes, the CIA did bad things in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, but nobody was ever prosecuted, and there were no reforms. So now they don't do bad things today, you conspiracy theorists.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
This dude is actually like a leftist, and he's like the only base leftist on Twitter.
Wow, there's actually a base leftist.
Yeah, he's actually pretty. He's one of these guys he's a leftist, but he's like, look, I care more about the working class than anything else, and that's kind of where he comes from. A lot of shit, so I can respect that.
I can respect that just a smidge more than these Antifa and Quifa losers that don't even have the balls to show their face in public.
Yeah.
Well, as we were discussing at the beginning of the month, I think Don and Yiz or whatever, they're big personalities. It is what it is. I'm not like dissing them or anything, but they kind of took the conversation a different way. And I was talking about like people that are truthful, and I had mentioned Jimmy Dore. And the thing is, it's not that I don't think that Jimmy Dore wants to implement dumb policies, but Jimmy Dore will call balls and strikes when it comes to people being hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I appreciate. And like you said earlier in the show, Delaney, we have to allow people to speak, because some people are going to get a draw in of folks who were out and lost in the wilderness, more or less, as far as all this thing goes. They'll start to get some bits of truth for some of these people who we might oppose in the end, but they help us in the beginning. And frankly, as a comedian and whatever else that Jimmy Dore is, I really don't think he's ever going to do anything serious. I just think that he's a guy like making fun of and laughing and complaining about the hypocrisy on the left,
Absolutely.
And, yeah. So just saying, that's when I say someone that's truthful and principled and whatever else, that's what I'm talking about. Obviously, there are guys like Stalin who were principled within himself, principled to murder, but not that's not someone I can respect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can at least have a conversation with a guy like Jimmy. That's the distinction.
Right.
And,
Right.
and, you know, whatever. Forgot what his Don is. He's kind of got that black and white mentality where it's like he's got the wrong idea. I don't care if he's consistent or not, so I'm not gonna take anything he says seriously. Well, okay, well,
Don's mentality is very hard against the left, which I understand.
Yeah,
and that is Don.
and that's valid. That's valid
You
to
know,
do.
it's just hard against the left. Actually, one of the big things that Don does do is he tries to get everyone on the right in any capacity to unite and stop bickering amongst ourselves, which I agree with, which is
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I really appreciate and like Don. But Don said it himself. He's like, I'm kind of a dick. That's me. You know, I'm
Well,
a different personality. You know.
Well,
It's-
you know, it
we
really
all are.
really just kind of depends on where you kind of draw your line in the particular ideals you give a shit about. When I was younger, I was a lot more like pro-capitalist than I am now. Like I was very against like capitalism being criticized, and I don't care so much about that. I just view that as an extension of criticizing modernity, which I do all the time. So like if someone wants to say like, look, I feel like capitalism is alienating and I feel like the working class gets like a poor shake, we can talk about that. Sure, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, dudes are like, hey, you know, you should hate yourself for being white. Well, sorry, bro, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's like if we went from talking about the pros and cons of capitalism to how I should hate myself for my skin pigment. Like that's just like there's no correlation between that. Like where did the conversation go? Like that's the disconnect that I have with a lot of people too, is we'll start talking about one subject and then they just go off onto this other subject that has absolutely nothing to do with the original. Like that happened to me the other day at a bar. I went to a bar with my roommate and I was talking to this guy, having pleasant conversation, and then all of a sudden he just started saying like, oh, we need to depopulate the planet. And I'm like, whoa, okay. He's like, yeah, because global warming. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Like, you know that that's not real, right? And he's like, no, it is real. I was like, no, it's actually really not. He's like, well, who are you citing? And I'm like,
here's the thing, Delaney.
What experts are you citing, bro? Who's
You're
your
a nice
expert?
person, and I'm a nice person, and I think all of us are generally we want to be nice people, and we encounter folks like that, and we want to try and tell them, no, you're a little misguided there. But those folks are just ideologues and they're lost. It took me a while to figure this out, and you cannot talk to them. And there's actually a biblical principle to that. Christ says, do not cast your pearls before swine. And what he's saying is those that aren't worthy, who won't hear you, whatever, they're just going to trample over whatever gems of knowledge you have for them. They don't care. And we know from studies that the left doesn't read a lot of stuff. We know there is a lot of Dunning-Kruger effect on their side. I'm not saying it doesn't happen on the right either, because it happens on both sides. But as far as folks who think they're aware, who seem to be smart, when you compare people, I would say in general categories of who's aware and smart or whatever, when you say, oh yeah, I follow the news, I watch this many hours, blah, 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 guarantee you the leftist is only going to be hearing left-wing resources. And the right wing person will be hearing both sides, and they'll be more informed.
Yeah.
It just happens time and time again.
I mean, and honestly, for me, it was like hanging out with Jeremy a lot more. I started kind of realizing that there are just people out there that aren't worth saving, that aren't worth talking to, that aren't worth engaging in these kinds of discussions with.
Black builder.
Yeah, he definitely blackpilled me a little bit on that. Like, I tried to talk to this guy, like, because, you know, we were just conversing, and I asked him, I was like, oh, 'cause he told me he had a girlfriend, and I was like, oh, are you going to have, you know, babies? And he's like, maybe one, but honestly, we need to depopulate the planet. And I was just like, I just started talking.
Fucking kill yourself. If you're fucking committed to this, if you're that committed to that shit, fucking kill yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of where I wanted to go with the conversation. And I told him, I was like, you know, I have solutions, like actual solutions to the problems that you're trying to address, but your only solution is that human beings need to not exist anymore, need to just be eaten up by the sun. So we can't really have a common ground discussion about this issue, because you're so far into your belief that you can't even see any kind of like logic or reasoning. You just think human beings are a parasite and deserve to not exist anymore. Whereas I take the opposite approach. I think that we are totally capable and totally have the complex nature to figure this shit out. It's just too many people think like you and don't want to figure it out.
My first solution to that situation generally is always to say, well, you first.
Yeah.
You know, we need to depopulate the earth. You first.
Right?
Like,
Yeah, you
okay,
first.
That's what I'm saying. If you're that scared of climate change and you believe that the only way to solve imminent doom is through mass depopulation, then how can you not be against nuking India? Like you would be like, okay, so you would be fine if the United States government said to fight climate change, we're going to nuke India or commit
And China.
or commit any
Dude,
genocide.
India and China would take care of 3 billion people alone.
Yeah.
3 billion.
So
that's like
so
half
if
of the world
that's where you're
population right there.
if you're really that scared, and it's like this fucking what's that Extinction Rebellion bullshit we were talking about, then you have to support that. And they say no, they don't support that. Well, motherfucker, why not? You're the one that's like scared shitless about climate change, and then you're talking about depopulating the world. Fucking nuke somebody. Pick a big country. Like
he tried to. He was just too far gone. I was like, this is not worth my time. And he's at the very end of the conversation. He's like, "Do you hate me?" And I was like, no, I don't hate. I think hate is a useless emotion. I pity you. I definitely pity you because you are so far gone in your mentality that you think that the only solution to this problem that we have is through killing innocent people. I take the opposite approach. I think killing innocent people is not a solution.
We have a comment in the chat. It's funny you guys are talking about this. I read an article today about couples choosing not to have children solely based on reducing their carbon footprint. Here's the thing, bro.
I was talking about this earlier today too with my I think my daughter and my wife. So it's interesting that it did come up. But yeah,
suicide cult.
Motherfuckers are so worried about their carbon footprint, yet every single room they walk into is climate controlled.
Right.
Like if anybody's actually interested in shit like this, there's a book you should read by he's an eco-fascist called it's Penty. He wrote this book called "Can Life Prevail?" And it's a lot of. He doesn't like to talk about climate change too much. He's more worried about localized ecological issues. And he's all like this dude lives in a cabin by himself. Well, he died recently, but he lives in a cabin by himself. He's like, if we want to solve, the environmental issues, we need to not have refrigeration. We need to do away with all sanitary laws, like just really random shit. Like motherfuckers need to be sharing tractors, get rid of house cats, just like completely. And you'll see, like, this is a dude who actually is solely focused on lowering the carbon footprint. And it's not about, he doesn't care about children. He's like, we need to end all immigration. Fucking, if your jelly's got fucking mold in it, you need to eat it anyway. Like, it's real shit.
If your jelly's got mold.
Dari? See you, Dari.
Hi, Dari.
I got a question for you, though. To go back to the conversation about how we're trying to, the Jimmy Dore thing, and how we're always trying to talk to people and try to win them over to our side. Especially Bill, because I know you're you're more religious than I am, and you're definitely more of a religious scholar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's remnants of Christianity in our general society? Because that's what the Christian tradition is to try to run out and be a savior for everyone. You want to save everyone's souls. And it's almost like we have a little bit of remnant of that, where I would say at this point, we need to switch over to the more like retribution version of Christ, where he was like, just fuck all these motherfuckers, let it burn, and not trying to save anybody. You know what I mean? Like, why are we trying to have conversations with these people anymore?
Right. Well, that I get what you just said, and a lot of people feel that way, although that is not something that I believe is what Christ ever wanted any of us to do. Mm-hmm. And that's the hard pill to swallow, actually, is that despite how crazy this is and all of the things that are going on around us, we kind of have to grin and bear it and realize this is the evil of the world, and that there'll be a reward later. But
and that's what I'm saying. Like that trend, even though we forsake Christianity entirely, there's still a general trend of people trying to save each other through political.
That was another thing. I actually that original portion of it, I just wanted to address that thing you just said toward the end there. But that original portion I was thinking about today, actually, and it was the video I was going to make talking about Chauvin and all, because what we're doing in our society is we've transplanted Christian morals into our society, but we've made them humanistic. And this is the problem, because humanist morals aren't morals. Humanism's all about essentially
pathos.
Yes. So, well, you can elaborate on that, but we're not looking at the world beyond the material, right? We're not looking at the world in some manner that my legacy is going to mean more. Like, let's get away from the religion and the metaphysical, spiritual stuff, whatever. We can look at the basic principles, the metaphysical side of things, as far as psychologically or impacting the world forever. It doesn't always have to be, okay, God. Like I draw it back to that because it is important in my life. But I'm a heady guy. I think in very rational terms. Generally speaking, I'm not saying I'm not emotional either. I mean, I'm a bit artistic, so of course that comes out as well. But the point is that we are definitely looking at things in this humanistic, materialistic world and trying to apply these Christian principles that are meant for another realm, another sphere, a new life,
a different time and place, really.
Right. And so we're doing that, and it's really indoctrinated into us, and we don't know it, because it comes down to us through centuries. But that is part of this, like, convicting Chauvin thing, because he took a life. And even though George Floyd might have been not a very good person in his life, he's probably a piece of crap, right? From all accounts that I'm aware of, maybe he was trying to fix things. I don't know. I can't judge every second about his life. I do know he did some majorly big things that were quite horrible.
Yeah.
Well, he was about to drive high on drugs, so I say fuck him.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So we're taking that though, and we're going, but this guy he didn't deserve to die, which is a Christian principle, right? Non-aggressive principle, no force use. We're not going to go attack somebody. He didn't deserve to die, and this guy that killed him is evil because he killed him. The justice is served because this guy killed somebody. But then the other half of that, the other part of that, it's kind of like the video I played earlier, is people just sitting there going, well, I know that my son was horrible, or I know that my cousin or my brother or my uncle or my buddy, whatever, he raped a bunch of girls and he murdered like 15 people, but I know he's in heaven right now. And that's the other part of that, because that Christian mentality is, oh, he's just going to heaven. God saves everybody. Christ died for all, because that's a misunderstanding of that passage. He didn't die for all.
No, he didn't.
No, well, he did die for all, but he didn't die for all. You're just going to go to heaven because Christ died, right?
No, you have to do some work in order to go to heaven, or
whatever. You have to do some work. It's more like you have to commit yourself to a relationship with God.
Absolutely.
And any relationship, therefore, is going to have rules, right? Right. You're going to have to follow rules, because when you're in a relationship, there are rules. And if you step over the bounds of those rules, I'm going to terminate that relationship. And God sees it the same way.
Yeah.
So anyways, I don't know. I think I've had enough beers or whatever. So that, I can't think completely clearly right now, but these are a little higher percentage being an IPA.
No,
in any case,
I see what you mean, Bill. Cause like I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, and I see witnesses still going like door to door, trying to talk to people and, preach God's word to people. And I just sit there and I'm kind of like, why are you guys even bother? Like some of these people don't want to hear it. They're not open to this idea that, you can have a strong relationship with God and reap the benefits of that. A lot of these people.
Jehovah's Witness is one of those like cultish groups that came out, not now, but it was originally when it came out in the 1800s.
Absolutely.
And Joseph Smith and all that stuff has a lot of things that are antithetical to the history of the faith. But most religions, most denominations of religion do. It's not anywhere near like Mormonism. Was that Mormonism was Joseph Smith, right? I'm sorry.
Mormonism was Joseph Smith. That was where he like read the gold tablets that nobody else could see.
I'm sorry. The founder of
the witnesses became really prevalent in like the 1920s, I believe. That's when they got really big.
They were around in the 1800s.
Yeah, they were around for a while, but they got like really big in like the 1910s, 1920s, and they have like their own they have like their own sets of rules and stuff. But if you actually like sit down and read their Bible is actually like really like interpreted really well, so it's easy for a lot of people to understand, and they even will like break down definitions for you as well, so that way if you're not a scholarly person and not a well-versed person, you can actually like see the definitions of certain words that you might not know, and they'll define it for you, so that way you're not sitting there going, oh, what does this mean, and interpreting, just coming up with your own interpretations. They're like, this is what they mean when they say this term,
Right.
and so
it
talking
was Charles Russell. I had to look it up. Charles Russell, Joseph Smith. They both came about around the same time. Another one was Ellen G. White, who started the Seventh-day Adventist Church. But hey, guys, we honestly, we're almost out of the memes, so let's keep going with that. I know we're sidetracking. It's fine. It's part of the show. But
I love it though. Yeah. I love having these discussions with you, Bill. It's awesome.
Oh no. I mean, well, this is why. So we've been doing a call-in show on Sundays, and it's not necessarily just for people who do YouTube or anything like that. It's for any of our viewers. But if you guys have a chance on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, if you want to call in, please call in. It's just a little thing like this. We can chat for a bit. It's open discussion, no memes. At least right now, we're trying to figure it out.
Some
Last
blood
week,
sports.
Tank let it troll in for too long, basically the whole show.
We go grab another beer.
So,
Want a ginger? Yeah.
anyways, let's keep moving, guys, because we're getting there. So, did you just deny a CIA narrative, my dude? I could have pulled that up about 15 times through the conversation there.
Yeah.
Was Satan unavailable? Just in. The Vatican has invited Chelsea Clinton, Dr. Fauci, New Age figure Deepak Chopra, and CEO of Moderna and Pfizer to speak at a May conference focusing on health and the soul.
Good God.
So, Satan wasn't available, Delaney, if you can read the meme. I mean,
just in. The Vatican has invited Chelsea Clinton, Dr. Fauci, New Age. Oh yeah, Satan definitely wasn't available for that meeting. He's busy doing other things.
So if we divide 123 genders by white supremacy, how much climate change do we have?
Oh my God.
Well, all this is just about demoralization. It's what it's about, guys. And with that, Alex Jones was right, Jar. I'm not a big fan of I am a fan of Alex Jones and that he's hilarious. And I'm a big fan of Alex Jones and that he tries to speak some truth, but he's very hyperbolic.
Yes.
And he did William Cooper, really, really dirty. And if you don't know who William Cooper is, I'll let you go down that rabbit hole yourself. In any case, I don't like the way he handled that situation. So
are you just bitter because you guys share a name?
No. Bill Cooper's been dead since right after 9/11, by the way. The sheriffs, he predicted 9/11 just about 9 months before, I think.
Oh, damn.
And then within 2 weeks, the local sheriff's department showed up to his house and they somehow got in a gunfight and murdered him, I guess.
Was going to say, did he commit suicide, quote unquote?
No.
It was suicide by police then?
Yeah. He's got a great series if you want to get into the occult and conspiracy stuff. You can find on YouTube, re-uploaded over and over again, called Mystery Babylon by William or Bill Cooper. And not saying he has all the correct answers, the right answers, or even thinks the way I do, but he'll expose you to a lot. He'll present you with a lot of information that will allow you to go down rabbit holes. Microchip developed by Pentagon to detect COVID-19. Yeah. I think we had a meme about that last week. So again, some of this is a week old news, but it's how it goes. This is for Tank. Mail you receive.
Well, yeah, that's old Uncle Ted.
Uncle Ted.
Hey, friend, listen up. I know the world is scary right now, but it's gonna get way worse.
And part of that is because printers go, bruh. And we're changing climate change for the coronavirus. They're pretty much interchangeable.
Yeah.
So if you aren't aware, if climate change doesn't bring about a one world government, the last and final straw is just simply going to be that, excuse me, they're going to bring in the aliens. The aliens will be here
Hell
because that's the
yeah.
whole point of climate change. That's the whole point of this
Bring them
coronavirus.
in. Bring
Yeah.
them in.
And speaking of the one world government, there was one man that stood against the one world government. And he was the virgin, actual Trump. Made the vaccine that I'm not taking. Democrats are the real racist. Gives our money to Israel. Bump stock ban. Believes in gay marriage. Little to no concern about white race dying, drugs, and porn. Versus the Chad media portrayal of Trump. Racist, started radical right-wing terrorism, January 6th, sexist,
Yeah.
misogynistic,
He started
homophobic,
that.
xenophobic, killer of democracy. I didn't mean to shift that, but fascist dictator stole the 2016 election.
Mm.
Of course, it says
So-
if he did, that's actually based.
Oh wow. I don't know who I like more, the Chad media of Trump or the Virgin, because they're both pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, I know this. Donald Trump watched a W2 documentary, and it gets to the part about the Germany's leader, and he's like, "There I am, Gary. There I am."
There he
Way
is.
back then in those days.
Hmm.
Hey, so Trump talked about the COOF and the vaccination and how it'd be available by April, but health experts say it's not likely.
Mhm.
And we all know how Donald Trump
I remember
lies
that.
repeatedly. All he does is lie.
Yeah,
Like,
every
there's
word
not a
that comes out of
single
his mouth.
truthful thing that ever comes out of that man's mouth, right?
Never ever.
Yeah. Every American over 16 is now eligible for vaccination, Biden admin says.
It's almost
But,
like he was telling the truth.
No, it's not possible.
Oh,
It's
okay.
experts have to tell you the truth, right?
Oh, okay.
Scientists have discovered that people will believe anything when you say scientists have discovered it.
Wow. Got to really think about that one.
Yeah. And here we have, I'm the last person on Earth. You still need to wear a mask.
Thanks, Fauci.
Man, am I glad the fascists didn't win.
Yeah. I love it. Leo DiCaprio, that's the best.
It's a shoe.
Oh wow. Oh my goodness. That's awesome.
It's still a shoe.
Hey, yeah.
You could almost say it's a shoe on head. You couldn't say that because she's a lefty. So, hey, Tank, that's all I got left, buddy. That is the Memecast news.
That's just
Well, there we go, guys. I was close. We have 5 minutes to go.
right. That's what I
Right on the
said.
edge.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be.
There's a lot of memes.
We stopped for chats. Yeah, there's about 100 or so. Yeah.
Mhm.
Good amount of memes.
100 memes.
Good amount of memes. But you guys had a chill stream yesterday.
Yeah.
And we had chill stream. What was it last week? I guess we had a chill stream ourselves. And no reason to get too serious about these politics because they're going to keep happening, right? Like they're going away.
We're just talking about shit till the next shit comes up to talk about.
I wish we had different shit to talk about, honestly.
I want to do like a scotch tasting stream, but Bill won't fucking fork over the cash for it.
Bill doesn't have cash for it, brother.
Yeah, all of his money's going towards his new baby. He doesn't have that petty cash to throw your way, Tank. Sorry.
You don't even know the half of it, Delaney. Because, see, I was gainfully employed, and then I decided to quit my job and go back to school and get into physical therapy. And then during that process, I needed to start working again, and I injured myself. And during that injury, I basically couldn't do anything for like 6 months. And then I was reemployed and had a just horrible manager. And then I had another, well, I had 2 jobs actually. I had another better job. So I quit the stupid job that paid less with the dumb manager to try and eventually get in on full time on the other job. And then that manager was an idiot too. And I mean, ethically an idiot, like immoral stuff, just crazy, ridiculous things. And I can tell you all about that. I can tell you about how I had to search somebody because we believe they had a gun in the hospital. And as I searched his bag, because this guy was incapacitated, basically, I not only found a gun and a BB gun and some other whatever. He had a literal firearm, though. I found a bunch of drugs and a bunch of knives and all this other stuff. And then my boss basically gave that stuff to his girlfriend to just leave the facility with, as they had a crack baby on the floor below that they just So yeah, I wasn't too happy about that. Then he suspended me like 2 days later without paperwork.
Wow.
Yeah, I literally could have stayed because I made his life hard, but I was like, I'm not going to work for an idiot like this.
Yeah, you
know?
made his life hard by trying to do the right thing. Wow.
Well, no, I mean, I talked to HR, I got involved. I mean, it was whatever else. But
Well, yeah, I mean, if they have drugs and weapons in the friggin' bag, and the guy just wants to turn it back over to
you can see, the thing is you could have weapons in West Virginia. It's just it was against our policy in the facility, so it wasn't a big deal. But it was that the nurses called me to see if this guy had anything, and what they got me on was I didn't talk to him directly. Well, it's because I talked to the nurse and I can't make a medical assessment. But the difference is they didn't understand that I got a lot of experience and I kind of know how these things go. And a lot of people make dumb mistakes if they don't know how like chain of custody or security or any of those things work. But when you've been doing it for a long time, you try to conduct yourself professionally, you're gonna know how stuff works. And that was one of those situations. Just wasn't I didn't do anything wrong technically because I can't.
You're too good for that job, Bill.
Yeah, well, I'm doing this now. But anyways, that was a bad time. I didn't mean to talk about that fully, but I just kind of went down that rabbit hole. Anyways, I did that, and then finally I was just like, screw it. I'm gonna go back to school and I'm gonna figure out how to do whatever on my own, and that's what I'm doing.
Do it.
So if I make money, guys, like my wife is employed, and we will be okay. But it definitely does help a lot if you guys do donate. It really does, because this is basically what I'm doing for employment. I will be doing other things for employment as well, but it's about building. It's a process.
Yeah,
but,
you're not going to give money to him just to support him. Give money to support his baby.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You are. You're supporting me and the family. But part of that
to his
process, I was
baby.
saying, going through all that, I racked up some debt and some other stupid stuff because I was injured and just it sucked. So such is life. Such is life. And anyways, I didn't mean to go off on personal stuff.
No, I love hearing your personal stuff, Bill.
Yeah.
At this point,
I'm sure everyone else does as well.
We've done 3 or 4 streams with you over the last couple months.
When was the first time you were on? January? You've been here every month, so it's been 5 streams with
and a drinking stream.
Yeah, and a drinking stream. Yeah,
that's the most important one.
And I only get to know you through this, weird dichotomy of through the internet.
True.
So I like hearing these kind of personal stories from you because, I care about you. Even though I'm not physically with you, I still talk about you to my family. I'm like, oh yeah, I do a stream for my friend Bill that lives all the way in West Virginia. And they're like, wait, what? You know somebody out there? I'm like, yeah, of course. We meet up once a month. We get on YouTube and talk about crap. So here's some personal stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of my relationship with Matt Christensen, where I was a patron of his for a long while, and I used to give them guys a lot of money, actually, not just monthly on Patreon, but super chats, whatever else. But do the call-in show, whatever. You get to know somebody, and when you're donating money, for them, they had both Matt and Rebecca had once a month conversations that were private. And so I did that often with them. So that's how I got to know them. And got to a point, I was like, I think you guys as friends. And they're like, oh yeah, we think you that way too. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So I say that, and sometimes I feel weird because I'm not trying to name drop or something. Not that Matt's that Like no one knows who Matt is outside of this
I was gonna
YouTube.
say, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, this YouTube political sphere thing, but like, but I talk about that. But then, like, when things happen on the stream or I call in, or Matt's always like, "Oh, dude, so good to hear from you." So whatever. And it's like, so that's a mutual thing. And
Absolutely, yeah.
I like you guys too. Obviously, I've been in your chat for, I don't know.
Since we started doing the live streams, bi-weekly, you've been in there pretty consistently.
I've been in there for a bit, but yeah. But
You've been there pretty much every Tuesday. You're there most of the time.
I try. I missed a
And
couple.
even on Saturdays, sometimes you show up.
If there's not a fight, yes.
If there's not a fight, you will show up. We love having you there. And like, what's cool is like the viewers from our channel have like, branched off to your channel too. So it's always good to see that happen as well.
Well, this is what we all have to do. Because there has to be community that's grown. That's what the interwebs helps facilitate, right? But a lot of people are talking about things on a level that it's just stupid. Like we cannot be talking. I can make fun of the federal government, but we can't be talking about the federal government providing solutions.
Right.
You literally have something wrong with your brain if you think that's the case, because the federal government is controlled and infected by leftists, and they're not concerned with solutions. They're concerned about their agendas. And for you, average citizens, left or right, wherever you feel you're at, they don't really give, two craps about anything that you're doing. They only care about their own power, the one world government, doing this social justice stuff, whatever it is that their agendas are, And
I mean, I think a lot of people, like, I don't think it's the federal government's job to figure out the problems going on with our society. I remember Jeremy asked me at the beginning of when we started doing our live streams, he asked me, he's like, what do you think the job of the federal government is? And I said, to protect our borders and to regulate our military. And that's it. And at this point, the federal government has just expanded on everything. And I think people have just been brainwashed to believe that that's the federal government's job, is to take care of everything. And it's like, no, the federal government's job should be this, like just border security and military. That should be it. That's all the federal government should be doing. But we have a generation of people, unfortunately my generation and Jeremy's generation, even younger than us, have been convinced that the federal government's job is to regulate everything. It's like, no,
it's not even that. That's if you want to get psychological about it, it's this, you have to understand these people's relationship with authority. Again, I keep making this reference back to the schoolyard analogy. Nothing in this world is more complex than the schoolyard interactions. And all this is just somebody has some kind of action taken against them that they deem as negative. So they look for the closest authority figure that can fix that problem for them. They get conditioned into this pattern throughout their entire life that everything bad that happens to them, there's an authority figure they can go to fix the problem for them. They don't spend 1 nanosecond thinking about what the federal government is or what. So you can have a discussion about why they go to the federal government for everything without even mentioning the federal government, because it's psychological, purely psychological.
Jeremy, and to that point, like, who would be the person that would break any one of that? And that would be the father. And we have a horrible crisis of fatherlessness, and we have a horrible crisis of masculinity, and we have this horrible crisis of essentially believing that authoritarianism is the way to go, because there's no real leadership.
Yeah.
Well, that's what feminization of society is. It's you looking to authority to solve the problems as opposed to taking the initiative to solve it yourself, because that's what a father would teach you to do. Father would teach you, hey, this is how you act in that situation. You don't go cry like a bitch to the recess monitor. You solve the problem yourself.
Yep.
Now we've foreseen the mass manifestation of that in the societal level, where we have, as I talk about all the time on my stream, the hyper feminization of society, where I could point to thousands of different instances of how that's coming to fruition right now. And it's just that's what we're experiencing. It's not about, there's no malice involved. I would even say that Marxism isn't even really a big part of the equation either, because the Marxism wouldn't be proliferating as if there was not a prerequisite of a hyper-feminized society. So I always try to simplify these issues and identify the root cause. Working in cybersecurity, one of the things that we do is identifying root cause of things that happen, and I'm applying that to the same methodology to society. So simplify it. Don't use crazy terminology. Again, we don't even have to talk about the role of the federal government or what people think their relationship to that is. It's all about basic schoolyard psychology. Okay, everything can be brought back right to that.
Yeah, well, that's why I often talk about first principles or metaphysics, however you want to phrase that, and understanding what that is, and that most things that are overly complicated are actually, in my opinion, overly complicated purposefully so that you feel like an idiot not understanding it. Most things are pretty simple. And, we talked about religion a little bit, but one of the things that I am not a huge fan of is long theological treatise, because it overcomplicates the simplicity of what the scriptures are. And again, whether you believe them to be, the true statements of God or not, they're, again, at least psychologically correct. They are at least correct in application. So that's an important thing that we should go back to, that we need to understand. But none of that exists without good male leadership. And it is interesting, speaking of the Bible, because my wife and I, with my parents, have been doing a Bible study every Sunday and looking at Proverbs. And if you go back and you look at Proverbs, it's just fresh in my mind, which I'm thinking about it. Wisdom is spoken of as feminine. However, often you'll see in the same book of Proverbs of how women lead men astray. So it's a parallelism between good women and bad women. And good women will always have wisdom, and the good wisdom of women is always toward, the side of masculinity, tradition, God, those things. Whereas the one that leads you astray, she's the one that, she looks cute, or she's good in bed, or whatever it is, but that's all she is. That's her value. She's Cardi B, and everything else about her is trash,
Chaos. Just chaos. That's women in general are chaos, and I think you would generally agree with that. I'm not making
just look at the story of Adam and Eve. Like, Adam was pretty loyal to.
He was chilling.
He was loyal to God until Eve came in and said, "Hey, try this apple because the serpent told me."
Chaos.
And Adam followed her because he didn't know any better and followed her, and then
I can't
got kicked out of the Garden of Eden.
I can't name the painting, but there's a Renaissance painting. It's original Adam and Eve, and like Adam's like to God, and he's over there like a shit.
This bitch.
Yeah, he's like, it was her fault, and it's like, well, no, it's your fault too, Adam, because men are naturally, like, God designed men to be natural leaders, and for you as the first man to follow the lead of Eve instead of listening to what God told you is right, that was the first sin. So yeah, like, I would generally agree, like, with that premise that women generally are chaos. They really are. I mean,
right.
And I date women, like, they are chaos. Jesus Lord, they are.
Delaney, the actual significance of that is that Eve became Adam's God and she made Satan Adam's God, and then Eve became Adam's God. So he basically had two levels removed from himself from the creator. And that's really important, is that he had his focus in the wrong place. And she misguided his focus. And this story is over and over again in the Bible. And feminists love to point to all the horrible women that were in the Bible and how the Bible is so misogynistic. But they like to forget all of the really honorable and great women in the Bible as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah.
Wait, are we talking about Adam and Eve, or Harry and what's her face? Prince Harry?
Oh, Megan.
Because it's the same exact story. You had this Chad guy who was like killing people with helicopters and shit. And then this bitch comes in, totally feminizes him, makes him a slave. And now he's going to kill him. He's going to kill himself. That's my prediction. He's going to commit suicide eventually. I'll just throw that out there. But
you're going to throw a prediction for the royal family that Prince Harry kills himself?
I'll throw it out there right now. Yeah. But I mean, again, chaos, corrupting the order. And I don't think it's really a stretch of any imagination to look at society right now and say to yourself, wow, there's a lot of chaos right now. And not notice the correlation between the rise of feminism, the hyperfemininity everywhere.
Mhm.
Every institution is owned by feminine entities. I mean, we're not going to see it now. That's a problem. You never really know. It's kind of like the saying, I wish there was a way to know you're in the good times while you're still in them.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I wish there was a way to know you're in the hyper-feminized society while you're still in it. We're not going to know until 300, 400 years later after they write the history books about what happened to this country. And, well, maybe I'll write that book. I'm thinking about it anyway.
Yeah, you're going to be like the book of Eli, just holding on to the Bible and eventually rewrite and just eventually be able to translate it for people.
The last remnants, the last artifacts of the truth about why society fell. Everyone thinks there was like a nuclear fall and the
No.
bomb. No, it was
It's going to be the feminists took
it was
over.
hyper femininity.
There weren't enough strong men leading all of us. And I agree with that. Like there aren't enough strong men like Jeremy, like you, Bill, like you, Tank, in society. Like the voices like you guys get pushed down for people like PewDiePie and just like these Vosh and these fucking losers that have just degenerative lifestyle habits.
But they always have. That's the way of the world, is the way I see it. You know, postmodernists didn't get everything wrong. Power is the name of the game. It doesn't mean power is the end all be all. That's their problem. Is that's all they can focus on is the power. But power is the name of the game as far as influence, right? And whatever else. And people will do things that violates their principles because it essentially gives them a good emotional feeling in the moment. It might feel bad initially to violate your principles, but once you do so once, it's a little bit easier to sin, right? It's a little bit easier to move on, and you're getting some sort of reward out of it. Now that reward might be meaningless, but you're getting a reward. Therefore, you keep doing it. I did want to address Osa saying, I have not met many wise women. They're always overly emotional.
I'm pretty sure he meant nut jobs.
Yeah, but jobs. Yeah, nut jobs. Even the smart ones. And no, women are emotional, Osas, but you know you've met a wise woman when she is into tradition, when she is into propping up her man, when she's a ride or die chick and she's like, this is my guy. Yeah. She's like, this is my guy. I'm going to stick with it no matter what. Then maybe between the two of you, you have fights that get nasty. She says she's going to leave you, like whatever. Like girls say stuff, whatever. Screw off.
Yeah,
but
it's our nature.
Yeah. The problem is when you go reverse with that, when you are the one who acts like that, because no matter what, like you can marry a bad woman or be involved with one. I certainly have been. I've been involved with almost nothing exclusively but bad, terrible women. I and a lot of them, unfortunately, because I'm an idiot and I'm a glutton for punishment. And for a large portion of my life, I followed my passions instead of restraining myself as I should have. And that is the norm. Again, this is part of the proper framing, the proper thinking, the proper mindset, is that you have to understand what the norm is, but don't black pill yourself to the point of saying, well, there's no exception to this norm, because a norm just means that it's the majority, right? It's regular. But there are always exceptions. And
always.
Again, women being the lesser vessel, that's because of the more emotional side to them. But there's still really good women out there. A lot of them. They're very, very much in a tradition. For a lot of folks, though, you're going to meet them early on. They're going to pair off early on. And that's part of the other problem in our society today, is that those good women get developed. I knew when I met my wife, even though she said stupid crap to me, she really did. She said stuff to me like on our first date that was like her trying to bait me to entice me. And I was like, no, I'm not, so she won't get mad at me.
For that.
One of them is she was like, and she kind of, whatever, but she, one of them was kind of like, well, oh yeah, like we can go like meet other girls or that kind of stuff, bring other girls in. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, that sounds great. That just destroys the relationship.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah. I told her that, and like 2 weeks later, she's like, I started thinking about it. She's like, I started thinking about you being with other girls, and I really didn't like it. It made me really mad, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Well, that just means that you're a strong leader, Bill. The fact that you said that and spoke your piece, and she came back later and like agreed with you on that. That just goes to show that like you are a good, strong leader in that. I love that.
Yeah. My wife and I both met at a transitional phase, and for me, I had just kind of coming out the one end of it, and for her, she was still kind of trying to figure out where she was going in life. I can tell you, we're about to celebrate our third anniversary. We've only been together for 3 years. And we got married rather quickly. But again, I've been through the ringer of the years. I've had enough experience. I knew when I met her that the reality, the truth of her was a very good person who was seeking to be a better person. And that was why I married her. I thought that she would be a good mom. Those were the things. My wife's an attractive lady. She has an attractive figure and whatever else, but it was never about that for me. Whereas in the past, I was all about the looks
physicality
or whatever. They might have a certain feature. Like
or
you might just
if
have
they're hypersexual or whatever it may be. Too.
Yeah, you might just have something about you might just have really pretty eyes. And I was just like, need to be with that girl. Something about
that was me with my ex, Bill. I'm not gonna lie. My ex had some very striking eyes, and it was like, damn. She's like one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen. And that was the reason that I was with her for so long. And also, we got together really young. I was like about to be 21. She was 18. We spent like almost 7 years together, just about 7 years together. And then like not out of the blue, she just up and dipped me because she found somebody else that she felt was better for her. And I just, at that point, I was so done. I just was like, bye. Because I couldn't handle just being with somebody that thought so lowly of me that they couldn't like end it on a good, on good terms, and just end it on out of respect, respect that and recognition that we weren't like compatible.
My last serious girlfriend before I met my wife, and I mean, I went celibate for like a year and a half or something. I mean, don't get me wrong. I did actually hook up with somebody or a few people here and there or whatever, but like, because I'm not perfect, guys. Like, it is what it is.
Sometimes that
you're a guy like me who is sleeping with girls quite regularly to nothing.
Slut maker.
That could have been better. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying. But in any case, I was saying that my last serious girlfriend before I met my wife was this case where she was pretty sure she's a histrionic or something. She's just constantly, everything's over the top, overly emotional. And this is the type of people that I always drew, these cluster B personality types, normally borderline or narcissist or whatever. But this time I got a histrionic, so that was good. And we got in a fight the night before. She went to bed. We were at my house. I stayed up all night. I was mad. I went out and got beer, got really drunk. It was like 7, 8 in the morning. I was still awake, kind of drunk. She comes downstairs, starts the fight right back up. Wow. And I kicked her out of my house.
Good for you.
And I was like, I'm done. And this was like a 9-month-long relationship that I'd struggled through. And I felt horrible about it. I really did. I wrote her a letter. I apologized. I didn't want to get back together with her, but I had to go even talk to her in person because this is how I am. This is who I am. I just felt so conflicted about it because I was so angry and mad in the moment. But for 9 months, she just, anything like that on her side, she could have done that to me. She'd have broke up with me once a month, twice a month. We were right back together 20 minutes, an hour later, whatever it was. But she could have done all that and it would have been no problem. For me, it took, I had to be at a breaking point of frustration in this relationship to do something like that. And yeah, like 2 weeks later, I was sleeping with somebody else. Don't get me wrong. Again, I was.
Did you have a dad that told you about how to date women and how to handle women and stuff like that?
Nope. I mean, my dad's a pretty good guy, but nope, none of that. My parents have this thing where they're afraid to talk about their sins, or at least they were when I was growing up, because for some reason they don't want to be bad examples. And this is what Plato taught. I know my dad's a smart guy and he knows Plato taught this, but for some reason this didn't connect. So don't talk about your sins because we can't expose children to the young or the evil parts of the world, right?
Yep.
And-
Yeah, no, I could kind of guess that because I've been through a similar situation where
Yeah.
my parents told I had zero advice on how to deal with women. I actually had my parents were discouraging of interacting with women at a young age, and then
They weren't that. I had girlfriends when I was a teen and stuff. Yeah.
let's just say I went on a bit of a tear in my 20s. But Holly brings up a good point in chat that it relates directly to the question that I asked you, and she says women today cannot become wise; they refuse to grow old, infantilizing themselves. And if we had men who were teaching other men things like the fact that women do not mature beyond the age of 18 because they do not need to. They get everything they want without having to mature. They stop at age 18, but no man is ever telling their children that that's the case. So we have the what Holly points out, which is a biological reality, and it's not no fault of women. Women, they just if men turned 18 and we just got everything we wanted, like an empire and a Lambo and a mansion, because that's what we want, then why would we ever continue to advance? Why would we continue to mature? Of course we wouldn't. So it's not their fault, but this is a reality that nobody even really knows about. So they interact with women who are histrionic, who have BPD, who have histories of trauma and abuse and all kinds of mental disorders. And then we keep asking ourselves, after these guys comes out burned at age 30 with all these crazy relationships, like, oh, I wonder what went wrong. Well, you know what? We could save our guys a lot of pain and suffering by understanding these realities, having fathers that pass this stuff down and actually tell their children that, so we don't have to learn the hard way.
Yeah, and if I'm any sort of MRA type, that is it. Is that we need more male leadership. In fact, one of the things that drives me crazy, and I don't really get on Reddit ever anymore because it starts to drive me crazy.
Trash.
But is to get on like the Reddit about stuff like that, and then to tell these guys, hey, one of them's I forget what it is, but where are all the good men is a good Reddit.
That was great.
Yeah, and I start to tell those guys, I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying, brother, but you need to grow up and pick better women. I'm taking totally full responsibility in being completely idiotic and picking my daughter's mother, not the daughter I'm about to have, but my first daughter's mother. I mean, I know I was foolish. I knew it at the time, and yet I was following my passions because me being sort of the artistic gentleman that I am, believing if I followed my passions, other people would fall in line. That was naive. It wasn't that. It was if I was passionate.
You're following what society was telling you to do, because you didn't have a father that told you what to do, which is where you're supposed to get your role model from.
Exactly. And with that too, Jeremy, in saying that I did the wrong thing and whatever else, I've also tried to and still do into my daughter, and I will, and Fiona when she arrives here in the next couple of weeks, that hey, you need to pick good guys too, and this is what a good guy is. And hey, don't go through this. Hey, your virginity, that's really precious. It's a special thing. Your bond,
the most valuable thing that she has.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Your bond with a man will not be as effective later on when you go to get married. But hey, I tell her honestly, like despite my religious beliefs, at least make sure it's a good guy or whatever, whether you're married or whatever else. My parents didn't do that. It's like that was the whole thing. Well, God said so. Well, God said this, so you don't do it. Well, what's the reason behind God's reason? Now, I understand that better now as an adult, especially as an adult who just entered his, fourth decade. But yeah,
it's your prime.
Well, technically, that's next year. But
you're
41.
almost there, Bill.
So here's something I've been thinking about, and I've heard this on. There's a channel exploding on YouTube right now. His name is Kevin Samuels, and he's talking to women all day long about exactly what you just said. I'm 35. Why can't I find a good man? I want a guy that earns six figures, is 6 feet tall, and all. He's trying to break down the feminine narrative right now. And there's an interesting question raised, and I want to get your opinion on this, maybe yours as well.
Okay.
But is love, the concept of love and marrying for love and trying to find the partner that you want, and you have to be in love with him. Like that's the main important critical factor, right? Is to be in love. Is that actually really important at all? Or should we, and does a traditional woman recognize the utility of a marriage in raising children and forego things like physical attractiveness, forego things like love in order to facilitate a healthy environment to raise children. What do you think about that? Are we too obsessed with love? Is that like a capitalistic, narrative that we're trying to sell people with Hollywood and movies and music?
Yeah. Well, I got two things on that, and part of that is we have to define your terms so we know we're not talking across each other, because love means different things, right, in English. And the other thing with that is I got to pee, so I'll let Tank update this because he's been really quiet.
I'm stuck with this, huh?
And I'll come back to it.
Tank,
All
we
right?
haven't heard from you in a minute. Let's hear from
Tank's
Tank.
he's trying to find. You got any updates on that stabbing story, Tank? Or what
It's the same shit. It's the same shit. But
let's get stabbed.
It's the amount of people that's just like, I mean, like literally no shit. People have said the cop should have let that girl stab the other girl because stab wounds are easier to fix than bullet holes. I'm like, bro, I can't. But anyway, about the question, arranged marriages have done pretty well.
Yes.
It could be argued that they've done well than modern marriages.
They have.
So there's something to that. That being said, you can kind of look at marriages in stages too, right? So like when you first meet someone, whatever hoe you're gonna marry, of course you're like you meet her, or there's some sort of attractiveness. Like I don't think you're gonna get away with. You're going to have to be super rich with a super rich family to get away with being married to someone who you're not attracted to at all, or you can't get along with. So taking out like really ridiculous blue blood aristocrat weddings, historically. So like today, so you meet someone and you're like, you get along and you think we're going to do it, we're going to get married. Well, if your marriage is good and you guys stay together, your marriage 10, 12, 15 years into it is not going to be the same kind of relationship as the first 6 months you got together, And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I think sort of a lot of these women that are saying, oh, I need to have a guy that's, 6'2" and makes $100,000 and has a 2-foot dick or whatever.
2 foot, damn.
Like they're trying to, I think they're planning that their marriage is going to be exactly the same every day throughout the entire marriage, because it's just ridiculous. It is this capitalistic, materialistic thing that's been sold to us. There's actually a study, not that I give a shit about science or anything, but there's this thing that I read that was saying that there is kind of a negative correlation between how much you spend on your wedding and how quick you get divorced. So people that go like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 on a wedding are like the quickest, to cut ties. So yeah, there's definitely something to that. As far as do you need love? You need to get along, I think. But I don't think you're going to love the same way that you would, if you meet at 16, you guys are just horny as fuck. And then you decided to do the traditional thing, getting married at 17. So yes and no. Like I can kind of see it both ways.
But I mean, to that point there, right there, Tank. I mean, this is the kind of like stupid, dummy, romantic type of guy that I was when I was young. Is that when I was 16 and with my girlfriend then, I thought we were just always going to be forever. We were going to be together, and nothing against her. Like I have, we had whatever falling outs back then because we were 16 and dumb and whatever else. But, that was the girl I lost my virginity to and all that. She's kind of a crazy person still today, and my personal friends would attest to this. And I've seen her over the years and we've sort of maintained some sort of loose friendship. I can tell you stories. I'll put it that way. But so for me, it was always lust, and I was always very particular about sex when I was young, because I knew it had such emotional ties and connotations. It really wasn't until I was divorced that I was kind of sexually liberated. And that was actually after I'd had 2 girlfriends. I was after I had the second girlfriend I lived with, it was a nightmare because she was highly narcissistic. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to play the field. I was like 31. I'd never done that in my life, so.
Yeah, that was me after my 7-year relationship that I talked about previously. I went through right after she left, I went through my little slut phase where I was kind of sleeping with multiple people and, doing the nasty with multiple people. And it wasn't until right around the holidays when I was just kind of like, this isn't, and started hanging out with Jeremy more and kind of realizing like, hey, there's more value to me than just hooking up and, doing that kind of thing on a regular basis with randos that honestly aren't as cute as me. Because my general rule is you got to be like as cute or cuter than me. And the girls that I was hooking up with were not as cute as me. And so I've been kind of on the celibate. I've been on the celibate train since November because I just
What really happened is she started hanging on me, and she's like, "Oh, maybe I'm not lesbian anymore."
Not even that. It's just these girls out here are just fucking psychos.
That's why I'm moving to Texas, because I was at that path. I was at the fork in the road where I could have said to myself, I'm out. Like, I'm done. There's nothing here. I can't do it. There's no possible way to have a fruitful relationship with a woman. But I didn't go down the black pill. I was like, okay, no, I just need to change up the variables here.
Just need to move.
I did change the situation. Go to Texas. You can find something a little more conservative, probably something a little closer to that.
Probably much hotter too.
The elusive trad woman.
But yeah, to the question of, do you need love to make a relationship or a marriage successful? No, you don't. Well, to the point of arranged marriages, is love,
because what is the purpose of a relationship?
Is love a nice bonus to a relationship with somebody that's you're married to? Absolutely. It's absolutely a nice bonus if you're sexually attracted, emotionally attracted, spiritually attracted to the person that you're married to. But can you have a successful relationship with somebody that you're not all 3 variables in with? Absolutely. You can be just, you have that unspoken bond with somebody that it's I respect you, you respect me, we're married. We can absolutely have a healthy, fruitful relationship without, being sexually or spiritually, whatever it may be. But I think at base, everybody needs that kind of bond, whatever it may be, in order to have a fruitful relationship. Just take friendship, for instance. You can have a successful friendship with somebody without there being any kind of sexual underlying
yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same thing with marriage. Like I said, does love make it better? Absolutely. It's always nice to have love because love is beautiful. But is it an end all be all? You need love? No, you don't.
See, I think this whole conversation, this is the reason why I asked this, because I think I successfully baited out, or did not bait out, the point that I was trying to make, and that we've bastardized the purpose of love and relationships and marriage. Marriage is to have 2 parents to raise a kid. It's not about love. It's not about finding the one. It's not about any of that feminized, hyper capitalistic bullshit about.
It's about successfully raising children into this world.
As Holly mentioned in the chat, and Synergy, who I see you in chat, by the way. What's up, Synergy?
Yeah, we see Synergy.
The feminists, they just want to fulfill their immediate, carnal desires, and they're not looking at what's actually going to fulfill them, what's going to make them get that feeling of fulfillment out of life. It's all about the immediate gratification of how can I get attention.
I can tell you part of my plight was, I would say who doesn't like sex, but there are actually people out there who don't enjoy sex for various whatever reasons, psychological, emotional.
And guys can do that differently than women too, by the way. So guys banging a lot of chicks is not the same as chicks banging a lot of guys. It's a very different psychological effect on it.
Right. But what I was going to say was I'm a hypersexualized guy. Now I'm not so much anymore. I think I've calmed down.
Slut maker.
What'd you say?
Slut maker.
Yeah, No, I just mean that I have a higher libido than most men, and I say that trust me, folks, I've worked in almost primarily nothing but men dominated fields, right?
Mhm.
And guys are like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, no, whatever, dude. I'm like, yeah, every guy says that. And I'm like, no. And then you go
Unreal.
on these dates with many women, and they're like, no, every guy says that. I'm like, okay. And then so you throw something hard out there, like, how many times a day can you have sex? Right. And most people will say something depending on their libido between 2 to 5 times a day.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no. You don't understand. I could have sex all day long. Like,
Just
like
straight
literally, I could have
consecutive,
sex like 20
12
times a
hours.
day. Like,
Pretty sure that's a mental illness, buddy.
right. No, I'm not that way. Again, I'm not that way anymore at all.
Mhm.
But I was for a long period of my life. I'm not saying I even had sex that many times, but I'm pretty sure I've gotten up there into the double digits numerous times with different ladies.
Mhm.
Most women can't even handle that, generally speaking,
No.
because it's just too much friction, right?
Mhm.
So
Eventually it just gets super raw. It's like, okay, you got to back off now. Let me heal.
right. So there are some people that are driven differently, and I over time figured out and I learned I'm just a little bit more sexually motivated than other people. And
Mhm.
that's a problem I have. It's one of my sins, right? It's one of the things that I
Yeah.
have to keep in check. So for me, it was easier to go after those passions, to get after somebody for that sexual desire, that sexual feeling. Now, a lot of people that couple times a day or whatever, that's a normal relationship for them. But for me, for a large portion of my life, till I was about 35 or so, like, like 15, well, 16 at tail end of 15 and 16, as long as I've been sexual active, those 20 years, that was me.
Yeah.
Really was that whole time, more or
Mhm.
less. But when you start doing that with people that you're not emotionally involved with, it's so empty.
Yeah.
So when you're building a pleasurable experience with somebody who you care about and you're
Yeah.
doing it often, it actually means something to you. When you
Mhm.
do that with someone you don't know, it's empty. And I can tell you this too, whether I cared about them or not, does change the sexual experience. But even if I didn't care about them, I can tell you just generally, just flat across the board, 70% of the sexual experiences I've had in life are just not that great. 70%.
Right. Yep.
And I could tell you exactly who I want to be with, would desire to be with, whatever, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like sexual experiences. I'm just saying, I'm getting very blunt, very real here, but sexual experiences are not ubiquitous. Like a lot of people that you just don't fit with. You don't have the right anatomy, don't have whatever chemistry is there. The emotional component's more important.
Yeah.
One of the problems that going to the men's side of things is the only detriment to just giving into those desires is that I think Robert Greene wrote about this, but sexual energy is kind of the main energy source for men. And if you spend all of that on sexual activities, you are you're probably less likely to be successful in life. You're less likely to be incredibly high up operating entrepreneur, things like that, because you don't have that energy to repurpose into achievement or whatever it is you're trying to do. I think there's a lot of merit to that, actually, where most guys now do what with all their sexual energy? Completely waste it on whatever website of their choice is, OnlyFans or whatever, paying women to do this also, by the way. So we're completely draining the entire male species of their ambition, literally and figuratively. And
and that's part of the problem too, right? Obviously, with every woman being loose, that happens, but it also creates this class of guys that are getting all the girls, right? Whereas before, when we
top 10,
that's right, when we enforce monogamy to some degree, those top 10 guys, yeah, they can remain bachelors, but most of the guys were eventually going to get their sloppy seconds, or those girls are never going to get around to those bachelor types. Now it's like those guys rule the roost, and it's like that top 10 has everything, and everyone else is in MGTOW land and incel land. And, and some of those MGTOW guys might be in that top 10 too. Don't get me wrong. But, but a lot of the MGTOW guys are complaining because they just don't even want to engage in that either. Which is where that overlap comes in. And it's sad to me. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that out of these guys because they're not understanding that a lot of them, if they just really took some steps, which is one of the reasons why I advocate for learning game, not because I want you to be some scumbag, but because I want men to be more powerful than they are in our society today.
Be more confident.
Yes, because we should be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but take those steps, learn some game and whatever else. And when you talk to guys about that, I've got so many friends that have been downtrodden. You talk to them about that and they go, "Oh, dude, but I don't want to change. I don't want to be a douchebag. I don't want to do this and that." And it's like, dude, I didn't do any of those things. I was completely, totally me. I just learned the psychology and paid attention when I was on dates.
The whole idea of game being a bad thing is just psyop in general, because all game is a phrase for understanding intersexual dynamics. That is it. Period.
Exactly.
There's nothing nefarious about it. There's nothing malicious to it. It's just we've demonized giving men the knowledge of intersexual dynamics, and then we say, "Oh, you're gonna game a chick. Oh, you're gonna drop some lines. Or what's your pickup line tonight?" That's how we've turned that into. Where in reality, I mean, we can see that the manifestation of that happening right now with the 10%. Those are the only guys getting anything because they understand those sexual dynamics.
Yep.
They know to go to the gym, get ripped, and then all you have to do is act accordingly with the women, and then guess what? It's really not that hard. But the rest of the 80-90%, they're not even willing to take the minor effort to understand the dynamics and then put in a little bit of work to, get the physical shape in up to par, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
But you even see this with really successful and wealthy men sometimes, which is why we had the phenomenon of the millionaire matchmaker, right?
Elon Musk.
What? Oh, Elon Musk. Yeah.
Terrible with women. Jeff Bezos, terrible with women.
Yeah.
Come on.
Didn't he end up spending like $1 million on a blowjob or some shit?
I didn't hear about that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I will say this: Bezos did a totally Chad awesome move when he was trying to get blackmailed, and he was like, "No, I'll just put my own D pics out there. Thanks."
I thought it was like he like screwed around with his wife or something, and they got divorced.
Yeah, with his neighbor.
Yeah, so ultimately
his neighbor's wife.
They spent a shit ton of money to get some pussy.
Yeah,
because of what he lost in the settlement. Yeah,
Billions.
Yeah.
I mean, that chick's
That's
the most.
crazy.
She's like one of the richest women in the world now.
Yeah,
I think she is. Imagine.
Jeff Bezos.
Dude, you ought to see the Amazon facility they are building near me in that town I grew up in, Hagerstown, Maryland. It is.
They're building a warehouse
insanely large. Insanely large. It will be distributing everywhere.
Hell yeah. USA.
Imagine that though. It's crazy. Bezos started that out of his garage.
Yep. He sold books initially, just books. That's it.
He's got to be great at business because that just like we can talk about the American dream and Bezos as an example, but you don't get there unless you are really freaking savvy, man. Like, because I don't do this. I don't do a lot of trying to market and do all this crazy stuff, whatever. But I know I need to do a little bit of it, right? I got to remind people, like, share, subscribe, do that kind of stuff, right?
Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
It's a pain, man.
Smash the like.
I don't want to do that. I just want to talk. I want to enjoy the chat. I want to enjoy your all's company. I can imagine what people have to do to really make a business like Amazon grow the way that it did.
You got to sell bits of your soul, Bill, in order to do that.
I'm sure that he did. I'm sure
that's some Satan at the crossroads shit.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah, that's what I say about most of Hollywood. All the people that are super famous in Hollywood and even in big business, they've sold bits and pieces of their soul in order to get where they are, and I'm just not willing to do it.
Back in the day in America, we had other people like Colonel Sanders. I don't know if you know, he was like 68 or something crazy before KFC became successful. Like he had failed so many times. JCPenney is another example of that. Did Bro just come in? Is that Bro?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
He's not coming tonight. He'll be back Friday.
All right. Speaking of which, I was going to say something like 40 minutes ago, but we've gone over the 2-hour mark. So I take it you guys would probably want to quit around 3 hours.
Yeah.
Tank's like,
yeah, I do. I have to work tomorrow.
My wife's going to want to kick me out of the bedroom eventually because that's where I film from. This high quality production. So, what were we just talking? We talked about Bezos and
we're talking about bitches.
Yeah, we're talking about
Hank, let's talk about hoes. You've been with the same woman for 25 years.
it is a lot to expect of a guy to be both an absolute genius at business and technology, and then be good at women. So,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
have to take issue with the whole like selling your soul for the capitalism stuff. Like Jeff Bezos, a guy like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, they have their brain just works differently. They have to do Amazon. They have to do Tesla.
Yeah.
They have to do SpaceX.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not
I
a
would
different-
agree with that. Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
no.
absolutely.
I don't think there's any. You don't have to like sell your soul. You know, they just if they're not doing that, they probably kill themselves.
But
So,
I know. But
yeah.
see, here's the thing, though, Jeremy. Just objectively speaking, Musk, he does what he does, right? He's trying to do SpaceX. It's not political, and he'll make a political stance on it now and again, and usually it's pretty based.
Yeah.
But Bezos, he owns the Washington Post. He tries to manipulate things. It's a whole nother deal. And
Oh
his
yeah,
ex-
no.
his
What you do with
ex-wife-
your money, that's a whole
Yeah.
different question. But how you
Yeah.
got the money, I think there's no question. The merits
Right,
are
right.
definitely clear.
Well,
Right.
when I'm talking about like selling soul, I'm mostly talking about like Hollywood and like the entertainment industry. Like those guys definitely sell bits and pieces of their soul and of
Oh,
their
yeah.
body in order to be seen on television or seen on movies or heard in the music industry.
Yeah,
Jeff Bezos, like, okay, he might not have sold bits and pieces of his soul in order to make Amazon profitable and thriving. But at some point in time, like he had to sell his business model, his business idea in order to get
He was
investors.
certainly ruthless with his tactics.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's just
It's not the same as like Hollywood and like the entertainment industry.
yeah. He didn't like rape a bunch of kids just to get the
Yeah,
next
he
deal.
didn't have to like sacrifice children to, Bahamut in order to get some movie or music deal going on.
Yeah, I mean,
He might have, but we just don't know about it. He's good at covering.
Hollywood is a.
Hollywood is awful.
Don't send your kids, folks. Don't send your kids. That's all I'm saying.
I thought when I was like 18, I thought about moving to LA and going to Hollywood in order to like, because I'm a singer, like I love singing. That's what I would love to do out of my life. But one thing that's held me back is like I see what singers like me, my age, have done in order to be seen, like Demi Lovato, like Ariana Grande.
I was just saying to her,
Britney Spears, how much of her body has she had to expose and sell to the world in order to get famous? And I'm just not willing to do that.
Well, Britney Spears is an interesting case because I never got her ever. I never found her attractive. I never got her music. I just didn't get the whole thing. She was completely produced. Someone like Ariana Grande, she's a cute girl.
Mhm.
No,
She's
don't get me
aight.
wrong. She looks like a little girl. Even I know
She
she's
looks
a grown woman.
14, even though she's like my age. She
Yeah,
looks
because she's a
14.
little tiny thing. But I'm just saying, like she's a cute girl, but she went from being like this little cute white girl who could sing to this little cute Hispanic girl via Hollywood. I mean, like that's what happened, right?
They played on that little bit that
more
that
marketable.
last name of Grande. They were like, "Oh, you got Latino in you. Let's milk that shit."
Yeah.
They literally did that to her. Same thing with like Demi Lovato. Oh, she's got a first name of Demi. She's ethnic. And
Right.
look at her now. She's like mental illness up the wazoo. Just crazy.
Yeah, I don't know much about her other than when she was on Disney, because back then my daughter used to watch her shows on Disney. So
Oh, now
But
Demi
that's
Lovato is
the
coming out as
factory.
like, yeah, now Demi Lovato, her pronouns are she, her / they, them. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's been telling
that's part of
all
the factory. Disney is part of that factory,
Mhm.
right? We've heard this before. Why is Britney Spears a crazy person? Why is Britney's boyfriend Justin what's his name?
Justin Timberlake.
Timberlake, thank you. Why is he seemingly a normal guy, and him and his wife Jessica Biel are never in the tabloids and live their own life like normal people? But Britney Spears had to shave her head eventually and do all this other crazy stuff. Who's the man? I can't think of her name. Who's the big OnlyFans girl that the redhead? Good Lord, help me. But anyways, there's this girl. I can't think of her name. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good if I can't remember an Ethoug's name.
Yeah, don't
Barbie.
I was gonna say Bad Barbie. She got on OnlyFans the first day and made $1 million.
Yeah.
Bella Thorne's who I'm thinking of. The girl.
Bella Thorne. Oh God,
Bella
that
Thorne. So she got the OnlyFans cap created, but But Bella Thorne's another product of Disney, actually, as far as I understand, and she's spoken about this before, and like the pedophilia and the grooming and whatever else. Obviously, what was it? Corey Feldman talked about it in the past.
He's been talking about it for like 30 years now.
Right.
Yeah, he needs to shut the fuck up.
Well, he's been saying like, I'm gonna make a documentary, and it's like, dude, we've been waiting for this documentary for like 15 years.
That's what I mean.
Where is it?
Give me something or shut up.
Yeah, that's true. But there's a documentary a while back I can't think the name of, that's can't really prove either anything that's stated, but yeah, I mean it seems legit either way, right? That there's this stuff in Hollywood that happens.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Look, Americans know, most people know, right? Like,
everyone's raping
the
kids.
Homosexual community,
They're just raping each
especially the
other,
males.
not even just children.
Right. The homosexual community, the male gay community is really bad about picking out young, susceptible men, right? Teenagers, young susceptible men. And then we look at what Hollywood puts out there and presents out there. The show Friday Night Lights some years ago, I remember looking at, that might have been in the early 2000s. I can't remember. I never watched the show, but I just remember the name of it because it was kind of big. Friday Night Lights. It was this like thing. It was a football show about high school football. And they were talking all about how sexy the teen girls were. And I kind of got it then whenever that show was out. It's like they do this all the time. So they prop this up. There was a show on E back in the early 2000s, Pretty Wild, I remember. And I can't remember the name of the girls, but the one girl had been in Playboy and her like younger sister was trying to get into Playboy. And they're in Hollywood. It's like a, Meet the Kardashians kind of thing, right? So it's just like Playboy. This one girl was in Playboy. So she's got like a sister or a half sister or whatever the hell it was that was also trying to get in this family. So it's like, make me famous reality TV thing. And they're in a club and drinking, and this girl's 18 years old in Hollywood. And they're showing this on TV. 1000% you can find that today. Go find Pretty Wild. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the show. It's Tessa Taylor Thompson or something like Tessa Taylor, I think is who it was. And
I know Tessa Thompson, like she's a pretty well-known actress. She was Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok.
Okay, so it's not that. It's not okay. I'm confusing the name. I'm pretty sure it's Tessa Taylor then.
Okay.
But yeah. Go look it up. I'm not telling you have to go watch or anything like that, but I'm just saying this is something that was going on in the early 2000s, and people were just like, whatever. It might have even been before the Kardashians were a thing, but it was when reality TV was coming up. But the point is that they're showing on TV, on cable TV, they're showing, oh yeah, we bring 18-year-old girls to bars when I'm a 30-year-old music producer telling this girl she has a career and whatever, and I'm trying to get a date with her, and she's trying to sleep with her, and here's some drinks at the bar. On TV, completely illegal, and no big deal.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And I don't, that's why I'm really glad I didn't go to Hollywood at 18 or go to LA when I was 18 like I wanted to. Like my sister-in-law told me, she was like, I thought you should have gone to LA when you were 18. And I'm like, no, I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I stayed here, because if I had, I probably would be one of those girls that like sells herself in order to like work with freaking music producers like Kesha, that chick that Kesha, she won her lawsuit against Dr. Luke for like sexual assault and all this shit. And at the end of the day, she probably was like sleeping with him just so that way she could get record deals and could get, her name out there.
Watch the show Entourage. You remember that from HBO?
Yes.
It's not the best. It's a fun show. It's not the best on consistency, whatever else, but go watch that, because that show is a show about how Hollywood works in a little slice. And yeah, it's fake. Yeah, there's going to be some stuff that's not true, but
it's drama, it's fiction, but it mirrors actually what's going on.
Exactly. They also want you to think that, oh no, it's just a drama. This doesn't really happen.
No, it actually does happen.
That's the purpose. They make it seem far-fetched when in reality what's happening is much stranger than fiction.
It's worse, honestly, than what they're portraying it as. Honestly, like with what we know now about, Harvey Weinstein and just all of these big name producers in Hollywood and entertainers, It's much worse. It's much worse than what they can portray on TV. Because if they actually showed what happened on TV, like people would like never let their kids go to Hollywood, would never let their kids get involved in the entertainment industry. Like people actually knew what happened to Michael Jackson. They would never let their 5-year-olds meet up and be in recording studios with these big name producers.
Right. And that's an interesting thing to talk about is Michael Jackson, because I don't even know how I half feel like Michael Jackson was a pedo, and I half feel like Michael Jackson was trying to he wasn't a pedo, but he was just weird because he never evolved past his childhood. And that's a whole nother thing we can get into.
Well, I think he was a pedo. This is just me on the record. I think he was a pedo, but I think that he was a pedo and he was just doing what was done to him. Because if you think about it, he was involved in the music industry at 5 years old. Yeah. And during that time, they passed children around like they were freaking candy.
Well,
so I think that he was just mirroring what was done to him.
For sure.
And that doesn't make it okay, but
right.
You know,
according to his brothers, for certain, he saw them at certain points when he was very young having sex with other girls in the same room. And we know his dad was not the best characters.
Yeah, so neither one of his parents actually were involved in him going to this recording studios, going to these big concert events. They weren't really involved. They were just like, okay, well, we get a big fat check because our kids are famous and really talented. So we'll just pass them off to the Hollywood executives and we trust them to not do harm to our children. And that's not the mentality that you should have at all. Like you should always protect your children and always be there for your children.
Why? But well, this goes to the people being degenerate, not having proper morals or understanding, and that why would you ever give your child up to someone else? And I say this as someone who sends a child into public school, so I get it. But on a very personal, intimate level, why would you ever give your child up to somebody else to be alone and just trust that this is the way it's going to go? Yep. And this is just the
suicide cult.
What's up?
Suicide cult.
Yeah. Well, and general naivety of people, because some people aren't part of that suicide cult, but do stupid things like that.
Yeah.
But
well, I watched there's an HBO documentary about the whole Michael Jackson scandal called Leaving Neverland, and it's 2 guys that were molested by him came forward and gave their story and gave like detailed accounts about what happened. And just the verbiage that they said that he used on them when they were young, it tells me that that was what was done to him to kind of normalize these activities. So that's why I say, like, do I believe he was a pedo? Yeah, absolutely. But do I think that it just came out of nowhere? No. That was done to him at a young age. So it was normalized at a very young age. Just like a lot of these people who are victims of this stuff. It happens at a really young age when you don't know any better and you don't have like your parents to like talk to about this and go, hey, this happened to me. Because some parents back then were in denial about it ever happening. They're like, oh, no, you're lying. That never happened. Whereas parents now, if like kids came forward and said, I was molested, parents would be like, who did it? At least my parents would.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. We could go on and on.
I know, right?
Yeah, we're running
trying to end the stream.
I know, my bad. We're going into MJ territory.
No, I mean, I would love to have this conversation because I think that we should, I agree with you, Delaney, we should sympathize to some degree, but obviously you do something heinous. If you perpetuate that, if you're a victim of that and you perpetuate it, like that's
terrible.
You at some point,
you got to take responsibility.
Right? Yes, at some point. And it becomes a tough question with society because I'm generally like, I have the same solution for pedos and commies, but I'm not trying to bring out that solution. So I'm just saying. And
demonetized.
Yeah, we were never
monetized in the first place.
Hell yeah.
Not just Susan. Anyways. The point is that at the same time, you do have to feel bad for some of these people. It's this thing where we all definitely certainly do stupid stuff. Like I spent a part of the last hour talking about my own sins, right? And it's one of those things. I do it because I want people to understand that I'm coming from a legitimate a legitimate position, and I'm not trying to like preach to them like I'm some saint, because I'm not, and I was never, and I don't know if I ever will be either, but I'm striving to be better, and we all do things that are mistakes or whatever. The problem with pedophilia is, in most cases, and I have a lot of experience with this, not in pedophilia specifically, but in guarding them as a former CO, and that they just come back. They just keep doing it, and they get slaps on the wrist, and it's just a horrible, horrible thing. And you traumatize people for life, and you perpetuate the situation. So,
And then the people
anyways,
that get traumatized pass that trauma on to other people.
right,
It's just a vicious cycle.
right. Anyways, we're at the 3-hour mark. I didn't mean to make that 2-minute long diatribe, but
I mean,
Jeremy,
I spent the last like 10 minutes talking about pedos in Hollywood, so it's okay, Bill.
yeah. No, it's whatever. I mean, I would actually keep talking to you guys for another hour or two, but my wife will want to go to bed, and Tank has a day job. He has to get up early for. And
okay.
you guys are like 3 hours behind. So what is it, like 7 p.m. there now?
Your boy's got to go to the gym and work on these guns.
Yeah, he's got to get ripped.
All right.
All right. Well, Jeremy, just get a gym in the house. Oh, wait a minute. You live in a pod. Never mind.
Yep.
Anyways,
Plus,
do you
it's
guys
the only
have
place to
anything?
go to not interact with people with masks on. It's glorious. 50 people in the gym, no masks. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All sweating and getting droplets everywhere like you should.
All right, guys. So you got anything to plug?
You guys can find us on youtube.com/weekly narrative every Tuesday and Saturday, 7 p.m. PST, or listen to our podcast, Stitcher, Google, and iTunes. It's called The Alt Centrist. So we'll be live on Saturday night.
Get down there in the links because, or in the description, I should say, because the links are there for them. Jeremy also has the Techno Barbarian channel as well that he's not plugging.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Tank, you got anything, bud?
Nah, man.
Nah, man. I spoke like 3 words this whole thing.
Right? He's probably said at least like 20 words this whole time.
As a good producer should.
I'm not your trick monkey.
Exactly.
All right.
Thanks for having us on again, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, well, as long as we're good, I mean, we'll have you guys back next month. I love talking to you guys. So,
Absolutely.
Be in Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
With
we'll
all
probably,
that said, guys, this has
probably
been
have to do a remote for me and remote for him. So we'll just do like a four panel.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah.
We can do that. We just need your contact information, Delaney. In fact, if you want to get that to me, because I do have Jeremy's number now. It's up to you. If you want to give me your number, Jeremy can, or whatever.
I'll shoot you my email, and when he does leave and we're doing it remote, we can do a four like a total separate thing.
Yeah, foursome. Love it.
A foursome, yeah. A real foursome.
Yeah, 3 dudes and a lesbian. Sounds really hot.
It's every man's fantasy.
All right, guys. With that said, as I tried to do before, and as I often do and get cut off because the outros never go as planned, this has been The Ends Justify the Memes. And remember, the ends always justify those memes. Play that outro, buddy.